There we go. All right, I feel much better. Whew. Oh, I'm back in business. I am back in business. The only thing, you're gonna have an echo because I'm not plugged into my audio system right now, which is okay because this way I could walk around if I want tonight. But anyway, so let's see what we have for questions. All right, good evening, Jeff. Hey, Make Money, how you doing? So say hi to everybody. Hi, wife. Yeah, that was she in the back planting flowers. So we opened up our pool last week. It's still not quite there yet, but it's close. It's close. Actually, it's very close. I would say by Tuesday I'll be ready to go in to my pool, probably by Tuesday. So you know what I'm gonna do? Let me try one thing. I want to make sure, see if you guys can hear me if I plug into the audio system, because that would be very cool if I could plug into this audio system. That way my microphone will be working. So let's see. That way my microphone will be working. All right, I'm all out of whack tonight. I am all out of whack tonight. Oh, I keep bumping. So let's see if you can hear me. All right, good. All right, we're in good shape. We are back in business. I am in business, and I'm back. All right. So anyway, so now there's the downfalls, if you want to call it a downfall, of being an entrepreneur, owning your own business. If something goes wrong at the business, guess what? I have to go out and deal with it on Sunday night at 6 o'clock, and that's exactly what happened tonight, right? So at that particular ice cream shop, so let me tell you what happened. I went on the camera to look at the store around 5 o'clock. I noticed the camera's not working. So the camera at the store was working, but it wasn't working online. So now I realize, I go on the square, that the registers are not online reporting to me. They're still working in the store, still recording all the transactions, but they weren't reporting to me. So I know there's an internet problem, right? So I drive over to the store, and sure enough, the circuit breaker that the internet is plugged into had popped, because it was plugged into one of those ground fault interrupters, which you don't need it on that circuit. So again, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to very nicely, in fact, I'm going to even do tonight, I have the guy's email. I'm going to email the state electrical inspector and ask him his opinion on the ground fault interrupters. He'll tell me, yeah, Jeff, you need it. No, you don't need it. There has to be common sense, right? As to whether, it has to be common sense as to whether you can, whether you need a ground fault interrupter or not on a freezer. Because think about it, the freezer blows. Tomorrow we go to open up the ice cream shop, everything's water, you know? So that's the story with that. Hey, Pablo, how you doing? Hey, everyone. So I told everybody, I got my cortisone shot last Tuesday morning. And it did help my back pain. My back pain went away. It's fantastic. My leg pain is still here, still the exact same leg pain, but my back pain went away. It went away enough where I actually can sleep at night, but I still have this daily leg pain. So I'm going to call my doctor tomorrow, see what else they could recommend to me. But at least I can live my life. I can do things, which is a great thing. I'm surviving now, which I was not even surviving before. So that's why I'm thrilled that. Hey, you just became a top viewer, Dylan? All right, fantastic. So the ice cream shops being weather related, yesterday was, almost 90 degrees yesterday. The stores broke records for that day since I've owned them for 20 years. Today, it looks like they're going to break records again today. That's why it's so important that I ran down there to make sure everything's 100%. I could be like, don't worry about it, leave it off. I can't live with myself that way. I'm a 100% guy. Last night, the store at 10 o'clock, they had lines. All the stores had lines at 10 o'clock. Well, we're scheduled to close at 10. But the staff knows the rules that you have the 10-minute rule. Thank you. You have the 10-minute rule. And what that means is if there's a line, you have to wait until that line goes down, serve the very last customer, and then you have to wait 10 minutes to close the store. Because again, that's when It's like the rainy days, you lose money. On the sunny days, the nice warm nights, that's when you make your money. So you have to take full advantage of those nights. And believe me, there's not that many during the course of the season. Last night was a bonus. Tonight looks like a bonus. But Sunday nights are funny. Sunday nights kind of die down a little quicker because, why? School and work tomorrow morning. Fridays and Saturdays are usually the best nights. For me, in the ice cream business, I will tell you, Fridays and Saturdays are the best nights. Sundays are usually the best day, okay? Tuesday is the next best. It's just weird how it works, but Tuesday is always the next best for some reason. Monday, maybe everyone's ice creamed out. On Mondays, they take a break, but Tuesday, they come back with a vengeance. So that's the story with that. The waste disposal cost per ton in our area right now is $105 per ton is the disposal cost. Doesn't count, obviously gas, transportation fees, any of that stuff, just what we pay per ton. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's really $125 per ton. But what happens is if you do more than 300,000 tons a year, you get a break. So we get the break, the quantity discount of trash, the quantity discount of trash. So that's what happens there. Yeah, I do. I need a strong man to rub me down. My wife keeps telling me I need a massage. I'm not building a brand new unit. Well, I guess I am, yes. So I'm converting an old 36,000 square foot nursing home into a 50-unit apartment building. That's a great question. And I got RGB Architects. They're here in Providence, Rhode Island. Fantastic architectural firm. I am so glad that I found them. It's been great. So they're actually doing that project for me as far as the architectural drawings of that and the conceptual drawings. But yes, I am converting that into a 50-unit apartment building. It's probably it is my biggest undertaking I've ever done. And it might be my last. I don't know. But if it goes smooth, then obviously, you're using the right architectural firm, the right engineering firm, and just getting it done. And if it goes smooth, then yeah, I'll look to do it again. But yeah, I am working on that now. Everything's going great, and I'm happy about that. So thanks for asking that question. So Tobias, you're looking to switch careers. So you know what's interesting? Two of my property managers had different careers before they worked for me as property managers. So, which is very interesting. And they're excellent. They are fabulous what they do. But I think their previous career helped them with property management. So everyone knows Andrew. Andrew started with me as a property manager. Now he's my senior property manager and he manages my real estate company. But Tim, who's a property manager, he was a district manager at D'Angelo's for 17, 18 years, something like that. And now, not only is he my district manager for my ice cream shops, but he's also a property manager. Fantastic. Top notch. I cannot say enough about Tim and Andrew. And by the way, they also owned a restaurant at one point called Tim and Andy's. Well, FYI. But anyway, I can't say enough about them, but they switched careers to become property managers. And yes, we do have openings for 2 property managers right now because we're expanding. I don't know if everyone saw the TikTok where I bought that mansion last week, converted to 6 apartments. Besides that, I got the 39 unit. We're about to do the construction. We're going to be renting 20 more apartments. So that's 26. I got the 50 unit, 76. So I have openings for 2 property managers right now. And, property managers, I'm willing to train. Property manager, you just got to be assertive. You can't put up with any of the tenants' shit, okay? When I say that, we have to respect them. We have to, obviously treat them with courtesy. But if they're not going to treat us the same way, I expect you not to put up with their shit. We had an incident last week where a tenant gave one of my property managers a problem. And when it got back to me, I had to let that tenant know your lease is up in October. You might want to start looking. I'm not going to put up with that. So the property managers know they have my back. At the same time, though, they do have to provide good service to the tenants. They have to be responsive to the tenants. If a problem does get past them to me, there was a reason, and I hold them accountable for that. So property managers, though, have to be assertive, friendly, even-keeled, because, tenants do get emotional sometimes. Not saying it's right, because it's not right, but it does happen, So that's the story with that. Let's see what else we have. Oh, brutal day. Well, yeah, it must have been hot at the flea market. Makes money. It must have been wicked hot there today. I can't believe you even did it, right? 90 degrees. So, hey, Mancini. Yeah, listen, if you're, obviously, if you're local, you're interested in the property manager job, you can email me. In my bio is a link to my email. I did get 2 emails from people today. I don't want you to think I forgot you. I plan on responding to the emails tonight. One person wants to start a business, and I want to be able to answer the questions and talk to the person. So I will respond to those emails tonight. I don't want you, so I do respond to the emails. I don't want you to think I'm not responding. It just was crazy today. I was busy this afternoon, and of course, then the ice cream shop, a little emergency happened, So that's the story with that. But if you are interested in applying for a property manager job, yes, email me your credentials, your history. If you don't have property management experience, it's not a big deal because we can train you. I almost rather do it that way. That way you learn it our way, Oh, you saw you saw one of my trucks at the landfill. It wasn't broken down, was it? No, just kidding. So it's funny because this morning, my wife and I, where did we go today? We were driving somewhere today, and we turned around in a parking lot. My wife goes, "Oh, there's a Butler dumpster." It was just sheer coincidence. Right when I turned around, there's a big dumpster right in our face with Butler on it. It was at a construction company. So I thought that was funny. It's interesting when you see the dumpsters, you're like, "Oh, okay, there's one," So how did you go from buying single-family houses to multi-unit? Actually, it worked the other way around. I started buying multi-family houses first, and I was renovating my own multi-families, keeping my own portfolio. Then what happened was I said, I got this staff, this maintenance staff, or, this remodeling staff. Why don't I start going to the auction and buying single-family houses and renovate those and flip those? So I kind of worked the other way around. I started doing the single families after I did my multi-families. Of course, now I do both. I like doing the single families. We got one going on the market this week. I enjoy doing the single-family houses. It's a challenge. It's a challenge when you walk into it and you see it and you come up with a new design plan. I've talked about this before. I bring my carpenters in with me and they'll walk around me and we put our heads together, and Andrew, and we put, okay, what's the best layout for this? Because every house is different, I personally like an open floor plan. I do not like hallways at all. Hallways to me are a waste of real estate. Waste of space. So I always take out hallways. This particular house we're putting on the market had this long hallway right downstairs. It's a cape. Had this long hallway. What a waste. So he took one of the walls out. Now guess what? That just made the living room that much bigger, 4 more feet wider by 10 feet. It made it that much bigger. So it's kind of neat when you do the single families because you can kind of come up with your own ideas. So let's see. Oh, the driver was nice. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. I got to say, we do have some... Oh, what happened just now? I was at my ice cream shop fixing the internet. So who pulls up is my mechanic, right? And his name's Mike, Mike the mechanic. And I said, what are you doing here, Mike? He goes, I'm waiting for the crew. I said, what crew? He goes, I'm meeting all the drivers here. I'm treating them for ice cream. So don't worry. It was free. Mike is one of my secret shoppers. He gets a card from me, a gift card, so he gets to go to the ice cream shops. He's a secret shopper. He reports back to me. But anyway, he invited all the drivers to the ice cream shop tonight, Sunday night, to have ice cream, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't know he was doing it. Just happened to bump into him while we were there. But yeah, we have some really good drivers. We have some really good drivers. We have 3 women drivers now who are fantastic. Sometimes they're better than the guys, okay? But yeah, we have 3 female, trash trucks drivers, which is impressive. But anyway, so that's the story with that. What is your net worth? Well, that's a good question. What is my net worth? I can tell you my gross worth because I've never figured out. So your net, so for people who don't understand, your net worth is you take your gross assets, subtract any mortgages, expenses, money you owe, and that's your net worth. So, for instance, let's assume I have properties valued about $35 million. We'll just assume that, right? If I have $34 million in debt, that means my net worth is $1 million. Okay, so that's why it's very difficult to find the net worth sometimes. But anyway, I do own 67 pieces of property now, and now when I say 67 pieces of property, some of them are not making any money. So like for instance, the nursing home I'm converting to the 50 apartments. I own that piece of property. I will tell you, I bought that piece of property 5 years ago for $1.1 million. That's what I paid for it, this empty nursing home. When I finish it and there's 50 apartments, it's probably going to be worth closer to $8 or $9 million when it's done. But right now, it's a $1 million piece of property that I'm actually paying a mortgage on that's empty right now. So technically, I'm losing money on that until we finish working on it. So even though I own a lot of pieces of property, some are non-income producing right now. Will they? Absolutely. So that's how that works. But yeah, so the way, when you buy a piece of property, of course you get a mortgage. You buy a $500,000 house, right? You put down $50,000, you have a mortgage for $450,000, let's just assume. Or put down $100,000, you have a mortgage for $400,000, right? So really, what's my equity in that? $100,000. Even though it's a $500,000 piece of property, really, when it's $100,000. But the way I've always done it, in fact, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I work on volume. So when I buy a house, if I make, say, $1,000 a month as a 6-unit house, I pay my mortgage, my taxes, my insurance, and I make $1,000 a month. I'm happy with that. The only issue is that I need to have 10 of those to be successful, right? Or 20 of those to make an income. $1,000 a month is not going to support a family. It's $250 a week, right? I have another one that's $500 a week. Another one is $750 a week. So that's my mentality. That's how I've always looked at the properties, because I've always looked at them. I'm keeping them long term. I'm not selling anything. So my attitude is, if I want to give myself a raise, if I feel like I want to make a little bit more money, well, what am I going to do? I'll just buy another property. The 6-unit mansion I bought the other day, if you haven't seen my TikTok, watch that video. So I actually have 2 houses that were mansions. I have the one that's on Laurel Hill, makes money, calls it the haunted house. That haunted house, okay, it's a 3-story house. That was a mansion on the top of a hill in Cranston, Rhode Island, Laurel Hill Avenue. And that was a beautiful single-family mansion with servants' quarters up on the 3rd floor. 1st and 2nd floors where the family lived. And I bought it at the auction about 5 years ago. It had been converted to 6 apartments. In that particular case, they left some of the pocket doors there, but not all of them. The TikTok I did the other day with the one I bought in West Warwick, with the mill owner's mansion, all the pocket doors are there. If I ever wanted to convert it back to a single-family house, it would be easy. It's a matter of taking some walls down, opening up some doorways, and repurposing those pocket doors and making it back into a single-family house. I don't know why somebody would want to do that. It's an income-producing 6-unit mansion right now, 6-unit house. But I did, if you do look at the video I did on the TikTok, it just shows you how all of these mansions were converted to multifamily houses. In West Warwick, especially, there were a lot of them because there were a lot of mills, and all the mill owners had their own mansion. There were a lot of mills because the Patuxent River runs through Coventry, West Warwick, Cranston, right out to the bay. The Patuxent River, I own a lot of property along the Patuxent River, not because I tried to find property along the Patuxent River. It's pure coincidence. The river winds its way through 3 cities, or 4 cities, and I just happen to buy property near the river. My first ice cream shop, the one that hangs over the water, that's where the river opens up into the mouth of the Patuxent Cove in Cranston. That's where the river ends. But my ice cream shop is right on the water, right on the cove. On the other side of that, I own a duplex that's on the river, and the backyard of the duplex goes right into the river. That's the view of they have a nice, beautiful view of the river. My new Butler Waste facility in Warwick, where that is, where we maintain and repair the trucks, that's also adjacent to the Patuxent River. I've shown it on the TikTok. So it's just pure coincidence that because the river winds its way around, there happens to be a lot of real estate, and I happen to own like 5 or 6 pieces of property along the river. Not that I'm trying to be near the river, because rivers flood, right? So my average interest, well, the interest rate is going up right now on loans. That's a good question. So I'm doing a refinance right now. Well, I did refinance, my purchase back in December, I was at 3.75 for a commercial loan, okay? Now commercial loans are 5.75, 6%. They've gone up, which is a bummer. I'm still refinancing a lot of properties, refinancing some loans, some private money loans. But yeah, the interest rates are going up, 6%, 6.5%. They're really gonna, shop around. But the problem with the interest rates is they fluctuate. My private money loans, those interest rates fluctuate between 7.5% and 12%. For me, I try to stay 10 and under on my private money loans, and most of mine, I can do that. I have good relationships with my lenders. But yeah, the interest rates are a problem right now. Yeah, so on the east side near Brown, there's a very good point, makes money. So Brown University, Ivy League schools on the east side of Providence, and all wealthy people had mansions there for years, right? 200 years. In the last 40, 50 years, what do? Convert them all to multifamilies, they rent them to the college students, and they make a killing. But yeah, a lot of mansions on the east side. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So up in Woonsocket. So Woonsocket, Rhode Island is Woonsocket is an interesting area. Up there were a lot of mills because you had the Blackstone River, another river with mills along the river. And what do they have? A lot of the factories, the mills, the owners lived in these beautiful, beautiful, big, big mansions up there. Those, though, have not been, a lot of those have not been converted. A lot of those are still single-family people that live in those big, nice houses. They buy them and they live in a beautiful house. It's not easy for me to get loans. So I talked about this. I will tell you, that's a great point. So I have been with TD Bank about 12 years. In 2010, I talked about this where I was actually myself, I was in foreclosure due to the banking crisis back then in 2009, 2010. I actually had financial problems because I didn't own all this real estate at the time. I did have 4 or 5 pieces of property at the time. I did have my audiovisual business. What happened was that was my income. My audiovisual business was my income back then. When they had the banking crisis, there were no conferences, there were no meetings. My audiovisual business took a huge hit. I stopped having an income. I had 2 ice cream shops at the time, so I had a little bit of cash flow in the summer. But I ended up having to renegotiate my mortgages with every one of my lenders, which I did. Everyone worked with me. My own home here, same thing. They had to renegotiate with the lender. So I talked about how Bank of America screwed me with one of my mortgages. They would not negotiate with me, and they screwed my credit until 2015. So I could not get a loan. Up until 2015 for anything. My credit score was 420 because of Bank of America. I got lucky because one of my other lenders showed me how to sue Bank of America because they didn't honor a forbearance agreement I had with Countrywide, who went out of business. When I sued Bank of America, I won the lawsuit. They had to go back and correct my credit, fix my credit back in 2015. And they did. They also had to pay me back a ton of money, which they did. The issue is, though, even though my credit was repaired in 2015, it's still, 4 or 5 year rebuilding the credit. So I was doing all my banking with TD Bank at that time. I went to TD Bank in 2018. All I wanted, 4 years ago, all I wanted was a line of credit for $100,000. They turned me down. So it was not easy for me to get loans. I was using a lot of private money. I built a very good relationship with 5 private lenders. That's how I was buying my flip houses. That's how I was buying my multis. I would buy the properties using private money and then refinance them. It's easier to refinance than get a loan from scratch. Back then, the first sizable loan I was able to get was in 2020. I purchased some property in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I was able to get a loan for $2.1 million. This past December, I got a loan for $5.5 million. Right now, I'm working on a loan for $4.5 million. So it's only the last 24 months where I've able to really establish myself. And by the way, my credit score now is 800 plus. It's really been nice to establish myself being able to borrow money. I'm disappointed with TD Bank's non-support of me. And by the way, these loans that I just got were not for TD Bank. One was a Fannie Mae loan for Pawtucket. The last one was Bank RI in Rhode Island. And this next one is Bank RI, the one I'm doing now. This refinance. So yeah, I was not treated with respect from TD Bank, and it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So because they're the ones I did all my banking with. I'm now migrating, obviously, over to the banks that work with me, which is Bank RI. Chase Bank is working with me. They've been very good to work with. So it was not easy until just recently for me to get loans. And I know, and I agree with people, well, it takes money to make money, and, now you can get a loan because you have money. But I'm 57. Until I was 55, I couldn't borrow a dime. Like I said, they turned me down $100,000. Now, I could get car loans. Now it's easy. Last week we just bought 2 cars for the business. So Elmwood Realty bought, Andrew got a brand new Toyota Prius, 2022 Prius company car. I was easy. Walk in, I give them my name, my social security number. 5 minutes later, we're all set. Same thing, we bought a Ford F-250 with a plow on it that we need for a plow truck and for maintenance. Same thing. I walked into a local Tasker Ford, name, social security number, I'm all set. So it's completely different now than it was. It was a struggle getting there. It was a big struggle getting there. I have no problem admitting it. It was frustrating when I wanted to buy something and I had to, pay more because I had to use private money. But you know what though? Now I realize that I did the right thing back then. I didn't let the banks not giving me money slow me down in expanding my business. I used the private money. I refinanced the private money. They're happy because they made money. I'm happy because I got the real estate. I got the property I wanted. So it's all good. It's all good. But it just shows you that it's not easy. It's not easy at all. The amount of paperwork the banks want. So I've talked about this before. I don't particularly like going directly to one bank because you have to fill stacks and stacks of paperwork. It's tax returns, operating statements for and profit and loss statements. It's a lot of paperwork. So I personally like using a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker, you fill out that paperwork once, you give it to him. He goes to 10 banks and submits it to the banks, and the banks bid on the loan. It's a wonderful thing. The mortgage broker gets a percentage amount of the loan, okay, which is fine with me because I'm not paying somebody in my office to do all this work, and I'm not going back and forth to this bank, to that bank, to this bank after I get denied from 10 banks, right? So I like to use a commercial mortgage broker. It works for me. Maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but for me it works because I rather free up my time or Andrew's time, because Andrew's the one who has to fill out that paperwork, and we have more important things to worry about than filling out bank statements and, like I said, profit and loss statements. So that's how we do that. When remodeling a duplex, you change out the galvanized pipes. If you're remodeling, in my opinion, if you're remodeling a duplex and you're planning on keeping it, go with everything new. Go with everything new. My very first building I renovated was a good example. I renovated the building in 2002, 20 years ago. And in fact, it's the building that the ice cream shop is in, the original building. We remodeled that in 2002. I remodeled it, finished the remodel in 2004. It was when Dwayne started working for me. So we put in 10 electric hot water heaters in there because the tenants pay their own electricity, so they get the electric water heaters. Last week, 2 of the heaters went. So Dwayne texted me a picture. He goes, "Look at this, Jeff. These things lasted 18 years. And I'm like, wow. He goes, "Yeah, see that? You did a remodel 20 years ago. Now it's time to update some of the mechanicals." But for me, I knew I was keeping the property for a long time. So now it's nice because the way that we do it, he takes one water heater out, put one in, and we replace the hot water heater, or I have the plumber do it. So for me, if you're going to be remodeling something, what is your long-term goal? For me, I want to keep them forever. So when I remodel them, I want them done right. I'll switch out the galvanized pipes, with PEX, long-term fixes. So that way it's not a maintenance issue. It's not an ongoing maintenance issue. I want to be able to fix these properties and move on to the next. Whether I'm going to sell it or not, I'd rather do it the right way. So I would switch them out, especially if you're going to keep it, I would switch them out. Why not? Have the thing be 100%. So I found private money through a few different ways, okay? Private money you can find through real estate lawyers, attorneys. Most real estate attorneys will know of private money lenders. Most of them will. Also, sometimes some real estate agents, if they're a full-time, been doing it for years, real estate agent, they will know private lenders because every once in a while you need a private bridge loan to help secure financing on a piece of property. So real estate brokers would know. But really, it's for me. Of course, you can go on Craigslist. There are lenders that advertise on Craigslist. I've never had any luck there. All of my private lenders were word of mouth with attorneys and real estate agents, and I've used these private lenders for years. I've had great long-term relationships with them, long-term successes. In some cases, I've talked about this where I don't even need their money now, but I use it anyway because I want to keep them involved with my business. I want to keep, and I do. I borrow money from them just to keep, so they continue to make money. And I'll tell you why, where it works. I had an opportunity to buy a very lucrative piece of property, very valuable piece of property a couple months ago. And it was a cash deal. And I needed to so the property was worth about $2.5 million. I was able to buy it for 1.5, cash, close in 10 days. So I went to one of my private investors. Hey, can you loan me the money in this cash deal? I want to buy it, close in 10 days, and then I'll refinance out. Exactly what I did, textbook. So now I refinance out. I got a $2.5 million piece of property for 1.5. Now, did I pay to borrow that money? Absolutely. I think he charged me on that. I think he charged me a point on that, right? So that was $15,000. But who cares? I still got. That's why people think you can't look at the numbers. I got a $2.5 million piece of property for $1.5 million and $15,000, right? So it is what it is, So that's the story with that. So what happens? A lot of people keep coming to me. Hey Jeff, the market's high right now. Why don't you sell your property? Sell. And yeah, there are certain properties I could sell right now if I wanted to, but why? I like having the income, the cash flow. I like having the monthly cash flow. And what happens is, as I pay them down, my cash flow goes up, right? As I pay off the mortgages, the cash flow goes up. So I'm not saying to people, don't sell. For me, it's my personal preference where I don't want to sell. It's my own personal preference where I don't want to sell my properties. It's my own personal preference. Yeah, so you can see the pool's open. We opened up the pool this week. Not quite ready. I think Tuesday will be ready. So our pool is a saltwater pool. It's a fiberglass pool. I think if you look at early on in my TikToks, I did show the crane dropping in place a couple years ago. This is our second season with it. We had an above ground pool when I bought the house. So, you know me, I'm cheap, right? I like to stretch $1. So when we bought this house in 2004, there was a 20-year-old above ground pool here. Big oval pool, 15 by 30. It was a big pool. We left it in place. We maintained it. We kept using it. And finally we decided we're going to put an in-ground pool in, right? So what we did was in September, tore down the above-ground pool. October, they came, dug the hole, dropped this pool in. We never skipped a beat. We were able to use this the following season, the COVID season, which was great. And then we built the tree house. I mean, not the tree house. We built the pool house in the back. So, in fact, you know what? Let me take you for a walk here. Let's go for a walk. I think I can disconnect this and still be on. So let me see here if my microphone works. I just unplugged the. Let's go for a walk. I think I can disconnect this. Let me see if this works. So let me see. There we go. All right. So I'm still live. I was able to disconnect. So by the way, this is a cool thing right here. Home Depot, $150. It's a propane. It's a propane fire pit. So that's. So I said, let's get an adult size. That way I can go on it too, right? So, and that's the pool house that we built right there. There's a bathroom there. In there, right there behind there is the filter, the pump. It's a saltwater pool. So all the stuff's in there. And then this right here, that's going to be my summer office, but it's actually it's a room, and that's my summer office. That's where in the winter we store all the outdoor furniture in there. But in the summer, when we take the furniture out, that will be the outdoor room. My wife planted all her flowers yesterday. So that's the famous treehouse. By the way, if you notice, I cleaned the roof of the treehouse just for TikTok tonight. I had the guys clean the moss off of it because last week that was a big issue with my TikTok and my live. So we cleaned that. You can see the lights on it and the ladder on it. And then there's a watershed there for the neighborhood. So that's the story with that. So just to kind of show you, what the story is. But the pool should be ready. I'm almost seeing the bottom of it. So, which is kind of cool. Of course, this is the hot tub. This hot tub saved me. Listen, this hot tub saved me this summer. This winter with my bad back and my bad leg. Like I was going in there every single night to ease the pain. What it would do is it would give me instant relief. The hot tub would give me instant relief from the pain while I was in it. As soon as I get out of it, it hurt again, That's my outdoor kitchen right there. We built that a couple of years ago too. So all my stonework, my cement work, it's all done by one of my employees, Ike. He's fantastic. He's fabulous. He does all my own stonework. So this whole project was done by all my own employees, except for dropping the pool in. I bought the pool from somebody and had that dropped in. Other than that, we did everything else. We did the concrete work. We did the cement work. So that's how that worked. All right, let me put this back together. There we go. So that way I can finish my TikTok. All right, good. So I'm back online. So that's the little quick tour. But during the summer, I plan on sitting out there doing a lot of my TikToks, a lot of my lives. Last year I did too. I kind of stayed home a lot last year and worked from my home office. You could have my home office here in the front of the house. Oh, you did notice the tile, the roof, yeah. So you can see we cleaned the roof. Well, because everyone commented on it, last week. So, okay, I got to clean the roof of the tree house, So, no ice cream in the pool, but I do have an ice cream machine here. So what I will do is one day when I got an ice cream machine here and I have a Dell's machine here. So I will get those loaded in, and actually I can show everyone how that works in one of my live TikToks, how the ice cream machine works and how the Dell's machine works. But I do have those here at the house, because we like to entertain in the summer. You can see we have a lot of room to entertain. Sometimes I'll set up tents and gazebos around the pool, around the outside perimeter. And I have my employee parties here every year. So we do a lot of entertaining. So I do have a soft serve machine here, and I do have a Dell's lemonade machine here. And you saw my outdoor kitchen. My outdoor kitchen has a full fryer later. If you look at my TikToks from last summer, you'll see I love to make chowder and clam cakes. In Rhode Island, we have clam cakes. They're nice, light, fluffy cakes batter with clams in them. So I like making those. So yeah, so we like, and doughboys. I like to make doughboys. So that's the story with that. But yeah, if they want to eat ice cream in the pool, that's fine, So that's the story with that. Oh, let's see. Do you use personal credit or business credit? Oh, great question. So here's the story on that. If you use business credit, right, which I can, you usually get a higher interest rate, right? Because it's business. They know you're making money with their money, so they want to screw you, the banks and the credit cards and everything else. So what I do, and I have no problem with this, is I always personally guarantee the loan with my personal credit, and I get a better interest rate. I have no problem with that. In fact, I did that with the two cars I bought the other day. Both the Ford F250 and the Prius. They both were bought in Elmwood Realty's name, so they're business loans, but I personally guaranteed them, co-signed for them myself, and I got a better interest rate. So that's how that works. But I do have, now I'm establishing good business credit where I could buy it with just the business credit, but I want to keep my interest rate down. Though, and of course it's 100% tax write-off anyway, I like to pay the loans down a little quicker. So say my payment is $450 a month, I'll pay $500, extra $50 a month. It knocks off a few payments in the end. So, and I like even numbers. So that's a couple of things that I do. Let's see. Yeah. Brian's done a few cannonballs in that pool, and I've had to refill the pool a few times. So Tobias, I do not have a real estate license. Andrew does, though. Andrew works for me. He does. What I do sometimes, if there's a piece of property out there, I'll just contact the seller's broker myself. But no, as far as selling my properties, I have two real estate agents that I've used for 20 years to sell my properties. It's not something that I want to get into, showing them, being a real estate agent is a lot of work, and I don't think people, it's kind of like the ice cream shop. Everyone thinks, it's easy. Real estate selling is very, very difficult. The time that you're showing the properties, just the paperwork and everything else. So that's not something that I would want to do. So I do have two agents that I just say, hey, I want to sell this piece of property, go ahead and sell it. For the single family houses that I flip, those I do sell. My multis I don't sell. I've never sold a multi. Actually, once. I did sell a multi once, about a year and a half ago. I couldn't turn up the offer. The guy kept coming after me, and it wasn't even on the market. He just wanted this piece of property, so I sold it. Hindsight, I kind of regret it. I probably should have just kept it, but I replaced it with some other ones, so it would end up being okay. It was a good deal. I made a lot of money on it. But sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes it's about just having it and building it and remodeling it and fixing it, Is it difficult to buy property out of state? So I think it is only it's not difficult. It's a little costly. You have to go there. You have to find the piece of property. So I've been talking about wanting to buy a piece of property in New Hampshire. So I was talking to my friend Dan this afternoon about it because he wants to have a piece of property in New Hampshire. So I said, Dan, find me something then. Find me something. He likes to travel up there. Find me something. I'd love to own a multifamily in New Hampshire somewhere where it's near a lake and near the mountains. In the winter, we can use it for skiing. In the summer, we can use it for boating because I like both. And so I said, find something. So to buy it out of state, though, you have to travel up there. You have to look at it. I think the best thing to do is line up maybe 4 or 5 pieces of property in one day or a weekend to go look at. But other than that, it's not hard to buy out of state. And the only other issue is if I did own multifamilies out of state, I'd have to find a local company that can manage the property for me and just pay them the percentage. All right, let's see. See if I get any other questions here. So 50, work at FedEx. FedEx would love to be a property manager. You are pretty smart. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So you know what it is? It's not about smart intelligence. It's all experience. bad and good, right? I had something bad happen to me. Well, I won't do that again, right? I have something good to happen to me. Oh, I'll do that again. So a lot of that is where it came from. That's what I wanted to mention. So on one of my TikToks I did about the architects the other day, and I want to talk about that. So I hired an architect, okay, local architect in Rhode Island, and I tried to explain to him what I wanted for this building. Now, this is the 50 unit that I'm converting. So I showed him on paper, here's what I want: 50 apartments, medium income housing apartments. For the everyday person, I don't want low income and I don't want rich people. I want right in the middle, right? It's right near Pawtucket Village in Cranston. It's a beautiful area. And he kept drawing the Taj Mahal, these multi-million-dollar duplex. That's not what I want. I don't want a townhouse duplex. I want a single. Oh yes, this is what you want. This is what you want. This is what sells. He goes. 500 square feet. That's tiny. 600 square feet. That's tiny. That's all I want. That's what most of my apartments are. 600 to 800 square feet. They're not big apartments. That's what sells. That's why I have full apartments. I know what I want. I'm in the business. So we argued. We never really meshed. And finally, what happened was I said, okay, I have to force the issue. So I had a meeting with him and our lawyer who's handling the zoning application. You have to go to the city and apply for zoning change. So I said to the lawyer, I said, look, I'm having a hard time getting it through his thick skull that all I need is a rendering, one simple picture of the building so you can bring it to the city. He goes, all right, let's have a Zoom meeting. So we did. We had a Zoom meeting. The lawyer told him, look, we don't need all these measurements. We don't need all these fancy drawings. We need just a rendering that I can bring to the city. Well, a couple of days later, I get a letter from him. I don't think it's working out. We need to part and go our separate ways. Sure, he pulled that shit after I paid him $12,000. Actually, I paid him $15,000 because I paid $3,000 for a rendering that I couldn't even use. We went our separate ways. So I told him, I want all the work that you did. Some of the work he did, I could reuse the measuring. It's a 36,000 square foot building, 128 rooms. I needed the measurements. So we fought back and forth. He finally gave me my measurements. But and of course, I will not recommend him to anyone for anything ever. An architect, they are artists, but to me, they need to interpret what I want and put it on paper for me. And, in Rhode Island, there's this company called RGB Architects. They're the biggest ones around. They do the big fancy buildings in Providence. A lot of universities use them all over the country. But they've done a lot of huge projects here in Rhode Island. So one of my friends, Dave, said to me, maybe we try calling RGB. I know one of the guys there. Let me give him a call. Tell them what the deal is, see if they're interested. I'm thinking, hey, this is a small little project. They're not going to want it, right? But no, they explained to me that this is really their bread and butter and this is what they like to do. And they told me. So this was actually, what I did is I tried them out on the 39 unit building where we have to redesign the deck and rebuild the deck. So we sat down, they told me, look, we can have this done for you in 6 weeks. The plans to get permitted within 6 weeks. And they met their time frame, they met their budget, they were fantastic. So I then turned around and I hired them to do the 50 unit conversion where the other architect screwed me. I turned around, so they're doing those 2 projects for me, and I just hired them to do a 3rd project in Warwick for me. So Warwick, let's talk about Warwick, right? So, listen, I haven't hidden the fact that, Al DeCourt, who's the building inspector in Warwick, and I do not get along, okay? He probably thinks I'm a piece of shit, and I know he's a piece of shit, okay? So we don't get along, and I don't mind saying that, right? It is what it is. He bullies me, he harasses me, he uses Warwick resources, taxpayer money, to have all my employees followed around. The guy's a kook, okay? Of course, the mayor supports him the mayor has not done anything to stop him from doing this, right? So the only recourse I have, well, there's a couple of recourses I have, and I am pursuing one, but again, it's one of those things where I can't mention it now, though he is getting sued. But the other recourse is I bring in a 3rd party like RGB. I'm giving them one of my projects in Warwick, and they're going to take care of the applications, the permitting, the inspections, and everything, and keep the building department right out of my project. So that is my other option. And I'm doing it, and I don't mind spending the money, because you know why? Now, Al DeCourt can't sit there and say, I'm getting under Jeff's skin. First, he's not getting under my skin because, look, I got property all over the state. He can only bother me in Little Warwick, okay? He can only bother me in Little Warwick. It's the only place he can bother me, right? So now I got RGB, who are fantastic, and I'm glad. It takes the stress away from me arguing with this jerk, right? Let him go harass and bully somebody else. And he does. He harasses and bullies other contractors, but you know what? they don't want to say then, right? They don't want to muddy the waters. They don't want to, whatever. So, they'll live their life. I have a conscience. I know that my conscience is clear because I stand up to them. They don't want to stand up to them and be bullied. What do you want from me? Let them knock you down in the schoolyard and take your milk money. I won't allow it. But anyway, so let's see, where was I now? Hey, how you doing, Quinn? Yeah, my weekend's going well today. It was going great until I had to run over to the ice cream shop tonight, but weekend went well. Last night, I did a TikTok. So last night was a retirement party for Dennis DeJesus. He's the president and CEO of Special Olympics Rhode Island. So he retired last night. He's retired. Well, last night was his retirement party. So my audiovisual business, we did the projections, the sound, that, and my wife and I went as guests to the party. So I did that last night. It was very nice. Today, I took it easy a little bit, worked on the pool, worked outside. Nice, easy day today, planning for my TikTok live. And of course, I had to run to the ice cream shop, so I got delayed a little bit. Liens. Frank, liens on what? Frank, liens on what? I'm just curious to see what you're talking about. Liens on what? Oh, the horse I picked. Yeah, what's funny? Let me see which one. So yesterday was a Preakness, right? So make money. Oh, I may not be able to tell you because I'm using the phone for TikTok. Let's see. I don't know if I have that. I don't know if I'm logged into the Twin Spires. My bets. Ended. I can't see which. I have to look it up. So what happened was yesterday I bet $25 and I won $36.50. So what did I win? $11.50. Yesterday. So it is what it is. I picked one of the horses to show. I'm not a big bettor. Yesterday's the second time I've ever bet in a horse race in my life. The first time was a couple weeks ago, obviously, when I won the $2,000, which is great. But the last thing you want to do is take that money and lose it, right? So I had $100 left in my account on that Twin Spires thing, and yesterday I bet 25 and won $36.50. So which was kind of fun. Back taxes on property. So if people own back taxes on property, they put liens. Yeah, they do. So that's interesting. Fantastic party. Oh, absolutely. So Frank McGovern, you talk about back taxes on property, liens. So what happens is, I assume it's the same way around the country, right? You have to pay your property tax. If you don't pay your property tax, then the city takes your tax. They sell a tax sale where other people buy your tax debt, your tax lien, and put a lien on your property. So throughout the years, especially back in 2010, 2011, when I was having financial problems, a lot of my properties would go to tax sale. And of course, I had to pay extra money, redeem them, get them back. But lucky for me right now, I am 100% paid up on every single tax I owe everywhere. Which is fabulous. You know what I'm saying? It's a pain in the neck owing money. So at some point, back then, I would use my tax money to buy properties. To me, it was a loan, right? Because you use it, but really you're supposed to pay your taxes. So that's way. But again, when you're struggling, you don't have the money. You have to do what you do to survive, and that's what I would do to survive. I would use my tax money to pay off some debt and this and that, and then get caught up later, which I have. It's not the cheapest way of borrowing money because it's 10%, but it is a way of borrowing money. And now that I'm caught up in all my taxes are paid in full and on time, I save that interest. I save those penalties. And that's the other thing. But yeah, so what they do is they put liens on your property and you don't get those liens released until you pay the taxes off. And I have no liens on my properties now. I already did a tour on my backyard. Did you miss it? I'll do another tour later. I will tell you, again, I do record my TikTok lives. I put them on my YouTube channel, Jeff Never Had Job Security. So if you do come on late and you miss anything, go to Jeff Never Had Job Security on YouTube and you can watch my lives. What I do is I record my lives with the questions. So that way, if you're watching it on the YouTube, you can see what the questions are that people are writing to me when I'm answering live. So that's what I do. I always do, yeah. So I always dispute, that's a great question, to dispute high property tax increases. So every year when I get my taxes, So there's two times that you can dispute your tax bill. Your taxes. When you get your bill, I think you have 45 days to then dispute your bill and say, I want to challenge what you're charging me for my taxes. The other time is when they go around, they do the assessment. They do it every 3 years here. They do the tax assessment. They'll tell you what your property's worth. You can then fight it then. So those are the two times that you can fight it. But yeah, I challenge it all the time. And we usually do get a reduction. Yeah, that stinks when your property tax goes from $900 to $2,200. That's awful. In 5 years, that's ridiculous. So my pool is it's 16 feet wide by 32 feet long. It's 8.5 feet deep in the deep end, and it came on one big giant truck, and a crane lifted up over the house and put it in the dropped it in the hole. But it's a great pool. It's a saltwater pool. It's heated. We have a heater on it. In fact, it was nice because when we had our above-ground pool, the heater died. I bought a brand-new heater, and the brand-new heater I bought for that was still in great shape. It was only a couple years old, so we were able to use it for this pool, so I didn't have to buy a new heater. So the pool's heated, and I like the pool water a little warm myself. So the pool is heated, and like I said, we did that during the first year of COVID. We did the pool, and I put these doors in. This used to be a wall right here, so the people that owned this house before me, there was a nice view, but this was a whole wall. In fact, my TV used to hang here. I used to have a television hanging here. I bought sliders. I put sliders here, and they both open all the way. So this whole wall is open in the summer, and the side wall over here, too, is the same. Let me see if I can show you. Let's see if this will reach. So see these doors open. See these two doors open. And then over here, those side doors open there. And that all opens to the outside. So this whole room is completely open, and then the TV's over there on that wall. So this room is completely open. When I bought the house, this house was pretty much just a summer room. Now it's an all seasons room. It has the heat, has the air conditioning. I actually have we have the radiant heat in the floor in here, which is beautiful. It's a tile floor, and you walk in here in the winter, it's so warm and toasty. So it's actually stamped concrete. So around the pool, we did stamped concrete. Like I said, one of the guys, Ike, that works for me, he's fantastic concrete guy, whatever you want to call it. He did stone work. He does great stone work. So we did stone on my kitchen, my outdoor kitchen is stone, but around the pool, we did all stamped concrete and the coping. So the coping, actually, you can see it right there. The coping right there, it looks like individual marble pieces. It's not. That's actually formed with concrete, stained concrete. I bought the forms that go along the pool. When the concrete truck comes, you mix the color in with the concrete. They mix it in the truck, and then they pour it, and that's what that is. So the whole coping around the pool, even though it looks like individual, if you look at it, it has little lines, it looks like individual pieces. It's not. It's one piece of concrete all the way around the pool. So he did a great job of that. It's all stamped concrete. So he, Ike, and my whole staff did this whole project. They built the whole thing, and that's what happened there. Let's see. So it's funny because, people keep saying to me, why don't you move into a bigger house? You rich guy, move into a big house. Well, first of all, when we bought this house in 2004, it was 3,400 square feet, which to me is a big house. I moved out of a Cape that was 1,800 square feet. This was 3,400 square feet. We then added an addition 8 years ago. We have a three-car garage, a deep three-car garage, about 1,200 square foot garage. We added a whole upstairs to the garage. It didn't have it upstairs. So that's 1,200 feet that we added onto the garage. And then we came back. So now the house is about 4,900 square feet. That's plenty big enough for me. It's only me and my wife, my two kids. Plenty of room for us to go to our separate ways. When we built above the garage, we gave the kids a playroom. We have a guest suite above the garage. The kids have their own playroom. The kids got 2 walk-in closets. And in their playroom, they got 2 desk areas so they can do their homework, their schoolwork. So it worked out perfect. The thing is, like my garage, I put heat in the garage. In the winter now, when I go plow and I come back in, the garage is heated. There's so many little extras that we've added to this house. It's like, why would we go and move somewhere else? So we've made this our perfect house. I understand some people have to buy bigger, better, impress, whatever it is. I don't have to. I like it. It's very private where we are. Security is good here. And there's no reason to move into a bigger house. I mean, really isn't. Unless I became some billionaire or something, right? You got to worry about threats. But no, I love the house. We put the pool in. We made it our own. It's easy to maintain. And of course, my maintenance crew for my rental properties, they're the ones who take care of all my property here too. They came the other day, they put the mulch down, they cut the grass, they hedged, trim the hedges. So that's a story with that. So that's why I'm not going to move. I like it. We like where we live. We like the neighborhood. We like our neighbors, like Cranston. Good neighbors. Oh yeah, good neighbors are very important. Good neighbors are great. We have some great neighbors here. So that's why we like our neighbors. What's my history with Miss Alvarez? I have no idea. I don't know why. Is there a history with Miss Alvarez? Let me see. Let me go back. Did I miss something? It's funny about walking on new concrete. I'll tell you a funny story about that. Oh, I don't know. I don't know who that is. That's interesting. So in Providence, Rhode Island, they have a mall, the Providence Place Mall. They built it like 15 years ago. It's a beautiful mall. So we were hired, my audiovisual company was hired to do all the audiovisual sound, staging, lighting, production for the grand opening of this mall. The mall was behind schedule to open, but they had already planned this gala. So now we had to go there. We had to load our equipment in. We were bringing the equipment in. And there was, in the mall, when they first opened, there was a Nordstrom. It's not there anymore. It's something else now. Nordstrom's gone. So we're carrying the equipment. I'm carrying the equipment in. And like I told you, they were behind schedule. So all of a sudden, my foot went way down. I looked down. My foot sank 6 inches into concrete. It was wet concrete they had just poured that morning. And I just kept walking. And that footprint is still there today. So I thought that was kind of funny. They never really fixed it. Yeah, it's very hot, Mike. Very hot today. I got the air conditioning on in here, so it's comfortable with me doing my TikTok. It's very hot. So let's see. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm just going to get a glass of water. I didn't get a chance to get my water because I went to the ice cream shop. I know. How rude of me to get up and walk out in the middle of my TikTok. But I'm not lying. Look, I had to get a glass of water. I'm talking, and I hadn't had anything to drink in a while. Anyway, how rude of me to leave in the middle of my TikTok. That's terrible. You should get your money back for that. Anyway, so the story, yeah, glass of bourbon. No, it just really is just water. So anyway, I'm going to be starting this rental business. I'm already kind of in the rental business with the audiovisual, rent staging, light, sound, production. Now getting into the actual rental of chairs and tables and tents and party stuff, that's a whole new facet. But the thing is, based on, there's a lot of good rental places in the area. So I want to have a heads up. And starting from scratch, I'm not really in the mood to start from scratch. That's not really what I was looking to do. But by starting with name brand, with an existing company, now I get my foot through the door. It's kind of like what I did with Butler Waste. Butler Waste was up and operational, but people don't know what Butler Waste is. Who the hell is Butler Waste, right? But when I got Rollaway, what a difference, right? So that's kind of how I like to do things. We're going to be going, so hopefully the Jumbotrons are done at the end of this month, when we're going to go to Iowa to pick them up. But the goal is to have them in 2 weeks, have them ready so we can go pick them up. We need them. We already have them rented a few times, so it's really exciting. Sometimes I'm a risk taker. Sometimes I'll say I jump the gun, but I'm like, oh, I think that's a great idea. I'm going to do it. And the idea flops, right? So in the Jumbotron issue is that there's none around here. People have to rent them from the south. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm taking a risk, but I did buy them, and I already have 5 rentals. So what's kind of nice about that is I already got some money, get some return on my investment, which is kind of nice. And then if they pay me back quick, that's great. And then it's just all profit after that. So that's kind of how I think sometimes. Same thing with the rental business I'm going into. Okay, I'm taking a chance. Okay, I bought the intellectual property the other day at the auction. Got a couple trucks. I'm buying the other rental business. So you know what? I'm speculating, but I try to hedge my bets. I try to minimize my risk. And I'm minimizing my risk by starting off with an existing business and just hopefully, growing the business, right? That's really what I like to do. So that's the story with that. Oh, so the foreclosure I got at auction. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny you asked. So last week, the 12th of this month, they had a court hearing where they were going to finalize the sale or the closure of the title so they could sell it to me and I could close on it. And they had that court hearing last week. And my lawyer, I saw an email from my lawyer to them saying, hey, how do we got? Are we ready to close? So that's how close we are with this one. That's how close. And trust me, I really believe my TikTok's going to skyrocket then because I'm no holes barred. Interesting thing happened last week, though. Somebody called Andrew in my office, said that he represented the people there and that he would like to buy the property. So Andrew told him, well, that could be a possibility, but we have to wait for the closing and then we'll talk about it. I have no idea who this person is, who they were, but that was interesting that somebody contacted us. So obviously they must realize that the end is near. For me, the end is near because I want to get them out of my property once I close on it. I just don't want them there. I don't want them there. They have not been nice since the day I bought it. I just don't want them there. So, but yeah, it's a good question. We have not closed on it yet, but I'm telling you, I taste it now. It's very close. If people don't know what I'm talking about, it's a piece of property I bought at an auction in November of 2019. 2.5 years ago, I bought this piece of property auction. It still is not closed. There's been a multitude of problems, title issues, COVID hit, all kinds of problems, some court litigation going on. That has nothing to do with me. I'm just the buyer at the auction. And once all that's cleared up, then I can proceed and close on the property. And it's funny, everyone says, why don't you just get your money back, Jeff? Why don't you get your money back? Well, first of all, I paid $268,000. But I only had to put down $5,000. So I only have $5,000 tied up right now. But I bought it for $268. So when we close, I have to come up with the other $263. The issue is this. Since in the last 2.5 years, where have the property values gone? That property right now is probably worth $600,000. The property's going up. So why would I want my money back? I'm just going to let things go, and when I close on it. It's going to be mine eventually. Just who knows when. That's a good question. I'm glad you're keeping up on that with me. But anyway, because it's just interesting how something, and that's the longest I've ever gone with a property, by the way. I bought an auction. Went to an auction last week. I didn't talk about this. I didn't even do a TikTok on it. I don't know why. Let's see. Hey, John Boy, how you doing? John Boy 0723. Went to an auction last week, a piece of property, and it's interesting because, and I had never seen this before, but I guess it's out there. But look, I'm still learning. Whoever won this, so this house had stipulations. If you won the house, you had to knock it down because it was condemned and rebuild the house within 365 days. I never saw that before. Now, I don't even know why the house was condemned. It looked fine for me from the outside. What they were saying is there was some structural problems. But, that can always be fixed. So I'm not sure if if I could have had an engineer go through it and say, oh, yeah, fix this, do that, do this, and you don't have to knock it down. But it was a weird one. I'd never seen that before. But anyway, I didn't end up buying it. Somebody bought it at the auction for $112,000, I think. 112. But again, they have to knock it down, rebuild it, So I don't know what it would be worth after that. Well, Thomas, I'd love to do that. They want to come up with $600,000. Exactly. I'll walk away. No kidding, right? I have sold. There has been 3 or 4 instances where I have bought houses at the auction where the person that got foreclosed upon wanted the house back, and we have worked with them and got them the house back. I'm not here to take advantage of people that had troubles. In fact, I told you I had troubles myself 10, 12 years ago. So I think that's why I'm a little bit more compassionate. But we've had people come to us and say, look, we'd like to buy the assignment. It's called an assignment. So when I buy a house at an auction, I get an assignment for the mortgage, right? They'll come to me, can I buy the assignment? Now, the people that got foreclosed upon can't buy the assignment, but a friend of theirs can legally. A friend of theirs can, a cousin or whatever, just an attorney. So there has been cases where I've sold the assignment. Okay, fine, I'll walk away, here you go. So that's happened 2 or 3 times where I've sold the assignment. In this case here, I would not sell the assignment for $10,000 or $20,000. It would have to be a large sum of money in this case. I've been sitting back impatiently waiting for 2.5 years, so yeah. Yeah, sun's starting to go down a little bit. So, can you build a new multifamily and make money in your opinion? Yeah, that's a very good question. I think it depends on the size of the multifamily. Can you build a duplex? Well, yeah, you can. But if you can build a 4-plex or 5 or 6, now what happens is you get shared walls. Your building cost actually goes down the bigger the building, right? Because you're sharing walls, and stuff like that, mechanicals maybe. So yes, you can build a new one and make money, but it all depends on, the design, how many units there are. I've never built a multifamily except for this 50 unit I'm building. So I'll be better to answer that question, when it's done, whether I lost my ass on it, whether I made money on it, whether it was worth the waiting the time. I'll be honest. I will be completely honest. How much it cost me to do things, how much it cost me to get things done, how long it took. Because I've been paying a mortgage on it, so I pay $5,000 every month on that piece of property. So $60,000 I'm paying a year. Yeah, it's a tax write-off, but I'm still paying the money out. People say, oh, it's a tax write-off. So, yeah, but the money's still coming out of my pocket. And, so I'd much rather have the money in my pocket and pay the taxes, which would be a lot less, right? So, but when it's done, I'll let you know whether it was worth it. The squatters are getting nervous. Yes, they are, because obviously they contacted this family member to come negotiate with us to try to buy the house. So they're getting nervous. Yes, I did keep an ice cream shop open year-round. That's a good question. So one store I keep open year-round now. In fact, this was the second year that I did it. The first year we did it, it was worth it. Now, when I say it was worth it, you didn't make a lot of money. So in December, there's not many people buying ice cream in December, right? But what it did do was it created enough cash flow. Because think about it. I'm only open 2 to 9, so I'm open 7 hours a day, right? Paying my staff $12.50 an hour, they get tips. So my labor cost is about $100 a day. Then you have electricity and heat. But the machines create a lot of heat, so you don't really use a lot of heat. So my gas bill was cheap, like $50 a month. So really, the store needs to do about $4,500 a month to break even in sales, cover the labor and the costs, right? Taxes, insurance. I own the building. So for me, this building is worth it. So in December, it barely broke even. January broke even. But guess what? February, snow on the ground. People are buying ice cream. It was doing $6,000, $7,000 last February. This past February, I think it did $8,500. So from that, I might have made a profit of $1,000, $1,500, but it's better to be closed because after I paid all my bills, I actually made a few dollars. But what's really nice about that is you have fluke days in March where it might be warmer, 60 degrees, 50 degrees. All of a sudden, people come and buy ice cream. So that's why it was worth it. It was worth it because December, I pretty much broke even. January made maybe $500 profit for the month. February, maybe $1,000 profit. March made probably a couple thousand profit. So it's definitely worth it to stay open. The other reason why it's worth it to stay open is this. When I close my other stores in October, because all the other stores close in October, we move all the ice cream from those stores to this one store that stays open. See, in the past, it was a pain in the neck because you didn't want to be left over with a lot of ice cream when you close, right? So we used to have a sale and sell off the ice cream cheap, or, not have a lot of ice cream. So instead of having 35 flavors, you had 12 flavors in the store. Well, that pisses off the customer. So I never really liked that end of the business, closing at the end of the year. It just was not smooth for me. Now what's nice is we keep the stores stocked with all the ice cream, all the product, everything we sell, we keep them stocked 100%. Then at the end of October, when we close, day before Halloween, when we close, we just take all of that stock, move it to this West Shore Road store, because we're going to use it during the winter anyway. So it's kind of nice because we have plenty of stock. And in December, we have all this extra ice cream. So where sales are slow in December, at least I'm not buying ice cream because I have all the ice cream from the other stores that I moved over in the beginning of November. So we have it November and December. So staying open is definitely worth it. I keep that one store open, and it was worth it. I'm going to do that again from now on. I'm just going to be a regular thing now. We don't do ice cream cakes for birthdays. We used to do it when I first bought the business. The previous owners did it, and we did a few. But we don't really do it. We probably should. It would be a nice item to add. My mother, when she was working in the store, she made them. Of course, my mother's retired now. But when she worked at my store, she did it, Yeah. I could put the ice cream outside to save electricity. You're right. But then all the animals will get to it. So I probably wouldn't open the others year round just because of the locations they're in. See, one of them in the village, you have to walk to the store. There's really no parking. It's a walking village, the original store they have. So in the winter, you have to park down the street, walk through, snow and slush ice to get ice cream. People won't do that. The store they keep open, you pull right up to the front window, you get your ice cream, get right back in your car. So it all depends on the maybe the East Greenwich store, because that store is starting to grow just like the other store. It's getting very popular, and it's a very similar setup. We can pull right up to the window. And so that one I might consider staying open a year round. That would be, or at least staying open later and see how it does, and doing some trial basis, Let's see. Oh, so I was telling about the architect. I want to talk back about that. So I got great architects. So I said the first architect, I did a TikTok the other day, and I mentioned in my TikTok the first architect really had an ego, because his ego was bruised when I said, no, that's not what I want. This is what I want. And by the way, I'm the one paying you. This is what I want. I can't draw. I'm not an architect. You are. This is what I need you to do for me. And he got insulted, and he told me he didn't want to do business with me anymore. And that's fine. The best thing that ever happened to me, because these people, RGB is fantastic. Great, fantastic. Best thing that ever happened to me. But anyway, this person on TikTok the other day told me that I am the one with the ego, not him. Well, I got to tell you something. If anybody thinks I have an ego, and I know Makes Money is going to tell me I have an ego, feel free to tell me I have thick skin. I really try not to have an ego or be cocky, because I'm not all-knowing. I try to share information, but for some reason, this person on TikTok said to me that I have an ego, So I just got a notice on my phone. And I try not to have an ego. Building inspector update, well, it's really not much of an update. I talked about it earlier. I did hire this third-party company that's going to represent me in Warwick from now on. You know what that does? That takes the wind out of the building inspector's sails. You know what? Now he can't bust my balls. He can't gloat that he's busting my balls. Even if he's not busting balls, he can't gloat that he is, right? So that's the good news there. That, he can't even say that he's busting my balls. And I'm not going to let him. I'm bigger than that, and I don't care. I have other projects to move on to, other things to work on. So let him chase me. Let him make his phone calls to the state. Let him do what he wants to do. You know what? At the end of the day, he is going to get sued, and we're just waiting for a couple of things to finish up in the city, and then he'll be getting sued. And then, and I'll let you know what happens with that. Look, I might lose, but at least, his reputation will be a little tarnished, because he did defame my name, and he did slander me, and there's facts to that. So you know what? At the end of the day, he'll be on his record, and and I don't care. You know what I mean? So whatever. Hey, Alex, how you doing? I know it's been a while, Alex. I know it's been a while. How you doing? So, hey, Terry Jones, how you doing? Well, I try to think about things. Sometimes I'm not a thinker. Sometimes I let my emotions decide for me. But I do try to think things out. Okay, what's going to be the end result of this? But that's why, like I said in Warwick, I could keep fighting with the building inspector. You know, he said, she said, and poking like he's poking me. But you know what? I got more important things to worry about in my life. I got my family to worry about. I got, you know, other properties to worry about, expanding my other businesses, my new businesses. And you know what? And if that guy, if I'm on his mind 24 hours a day, he has a problem. He has a mental problem. And you know what? I know I'm on his mind because he's the one who report. I told you, look, the day I got the violation, a certified letter that I violated an electrical code because they saw my video on TikTok, I know the guy has mental problems, right? Okay, obviously he's watching my TikTok, he's obsessed, or he's paying the other city workers to watch my TikToks, okay? He's obsessed with me. It's right in the violation. Oh yeah, according to your TikTok, you replaced some light fixtures. Yeah, all right, buddy. You know, so that's where I'm at with that guy. So there's the update, right? I'm not going to let him get to me. I think it's kind of comical myself. But at the same time, he shouldn't be harassing me, shouldn't be bullying me, shouldn't be following my staff around. That's weird. That's weird. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. Do I work every single day, Alex? No, not really. Yesterday I didn't work. Today I really didn't work. Going to the ice cream shop to fix the internet wasn't really work. TikTok obviously is not. This is playtime for me. But I mean, so I got to say, I work every day a little bit. I paid my bills this morning. I guess you consider that working, but I don't have to. So yeah, I try not to work a lot now with my. I'm trying to really slow myself down. You know. Yeah, no, listen, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think the inspector is a little jealous, maybe of me and my staff or the success. I don't know what it is. You know, you can realize something. I met this inspector 13 years ago when he was in another city, and all he owned at that time was like 2 pieces of property. But you know what's weird? I got to say, he was kind of a nice guy back then. As he moved, talk about ego, right? So that was a very small town he was in back then. Then he moved to a medium-sized town, moved to West Warwick. Now he's in Warwick. Warwick is the 3rd largest city in Rhode Island. It used to be number 2. Now it's number 3. Cranston moved up to number 2. Cranston's a great city. And yeah, you know, you wonder what the story is there, you know, with him, why his attitudes. But talk about ego. I think that's what happened with him. As he moves up, you know, his ego got big. But again, you know, I don't want to obsess on that, and that's why I move on. And I do my own projects. I got my other people doing my projects, and he can do what he wants. You know, he doesn't get to me. You know, he really does not get to me. It's funny. Sometimes he stabs himself in the foot. He shoots himself in the foot, too. He called DEM one day saying that we were storing dumpsters on one of my properties. Well, yes, I was storing dumpsters on one of my properties. And DEM, Department of Environmental Management, they don't care. As long as there's no trash in them. They don't have any jurisdiction over empty metal cans. They have jurisdiction over trash. So that's what they told me. And when they went there and inspected, there was no trash. So that's where Al DeCourt was wrong over calling DEM. You know, he was wrong. And then we were rebuilding a shed. One of my properties, same thing. He called DEM. Oh, they're rebuilding a shed. It's along the river. Blah 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 blah. Oh no, they're building an addition. That's right. They don't want to. You know, he has to embellish it, right, to make it sound like it's worse than it is. But what it was a shed, and we went to DEM. They no problem. Pull a permit, and you can have your shed. So again, he shoots himself in his foot. He keeps calling these people the boy who cried wolf, the baby who cried wolf. You know, the whiny baby. So. Oh, you start working July 5th, Alex. Where are you going to work? I'm just curious. Yes. Does any part of my business stress me out with so much going on? So that's a very, very good question, and it changes and it fluctuates. The biggest part of my business that stresses me out is trying to finish a property on time that we're selling. I get stressed out. You know, I got this one going on the market this week. It should have been on the market last week. Now we have some delays. It's going on the market this week. That stresses me out. The trash business, when a truck breaks down and we cannot pick up the trash, that really stresses me out because I know I have unhappy customers. And you try to explain it to them, but they don't. Look, they want to understand, but all they know is they're paying to get rid of the trash. They hate to pay to get rid of trash, just like I used to hate to pay to get rid of trash, and I still pay to get rid of my trash too. So that stresses me out. I would say that probably stresses me out the most when a truck breaks down and we can't empty the trash. That's the biggest stressor. Other than that, no, I don't get that stressed out. when people don't follow directions, that always stresses me out, and that happens. But the biggest problem is customer service. If I feel, for instance, the ice cream shops yesterday were extremely, extremely busy. All the stores were very busy, 90 degrees, busy all night, lines down. So when I have multiple staff working, I tell them, open up different windows. Like, we'll have 6 windows. Open up different windows. Don't all crowd around one window and keep the long line down the street. Spread the line. Each open up a window and take customers any window. It spreads it out. It is quicker to do it that way, and the lines look shorter. When I go on the camera and I see that they're not doing that, that stresses me out. I get very upset because it's kind of common sense, and it's an ongoing issue that we have, and I keep trying to educate them. You want to have multiple lines. You want to have multiple lines. You want to spread the crowd across the different windows. Again, you want to speed up the process. You can't stick your head out one window. I installed 6 windows for a reason. So that stresses me out. A new trash truck. Well, a new front load trash truck, you're looking at $250,000. I mean, they're just out of control. What's interesting about that is, of course, I would never buy a new one for a lot of reasons, okay? When do you ever get that money back, right? So the ones I bought are all used, not that old, 2016, 2017, 2015s. When you buy them used like that, what happens is of course they're half the price, and at the same time, as long as you maintain them, they're on the road. What I learned up front is the new trash trucks are all digital, they're all computer operated. They break just like the used ones. The difference is, when that one breaks, you're paying a $5,000 a month payment on a truck that you can't use. It's at the mechanic. At least mine, I bought and paid for. It breaks down. All right, well, it's broken, but at least I'm not paying that $5,000 a month payment. So that's why I would never buy a new trash truck. Roll-off trucks, the construction dumpster trucks, I wouldn't mind buying a couple of those new. I know I'm going to keep them forever. Problem is you can't get them right now. Just like everything else, you can't get. There's like a year waiting list on those. We called last week, but yeah, so trash trucks are extremely, extremely expensive. It's unbelievable. So I bought mine used. I mean, I paid $100,000 for one, $150,000 for one. Now, when I started Butler Waste, a bank is not going to say, "Oh, Mr. Butler, here's $500,000. Go ahead, start your business. Use our money." It doesn't work that way. So I had to pay cash for everything. So I did. I used some private money. That happened when that guy bought this piece of property from me. So I paid cash for everything. Now, the bad news is, I paid cash for it. The good news is, I don't owe anybody anything. Even the landfill, the private dumps that we go to, I pay as we go. We have no debt. Butler Waste has no debt. Audiovisual services, no debt. The ice cream shops, no debt. I have no debt. I don't want debt. The only debt that I have is mortgages with my real estate, obviously. But my businesses have no debt. Even with getting into the rental business, I'm doing it with no debt. I'm going to pay as I go. That way, look, if it doesn't work out, you close the business. I don't owe anybody after, right? Now, I'm always optimistic it's going to work out. It doesn't mean it's always going to work out. But no debt, and I believe in not having debt. That's why I bought the trucks used. And I got lucky too. When when that M&M disposal went out of business last year, I was able to buy all their assets. I bought $1.5 million worth of assets for $250,000 at the auction because nobody bid against me. So that helped me out a lot. That gave me a real shot in the arm to get ahead in the trash business. So I got lucky there. Let's see. So why is rent going up and why are landlords being greedy? So here's my answer to that, okay? I don't know which landlords you're talking about, but I love when people say landlords are being greedy. So landlords have mortgages. They have to pay the bank. They have taxes. They have to pay their taxes. They have insurance. They have to pay their insurances. Electricity, gas, utilities, right? I don't know the situation that you're in, but I know in my case, I look at properties I buy, what my expenses are, what's the average rent in the area, and I'm competitive with whoever's charging the rent in the area. But maybe there are some areas that landlords are greedy for some reason. They just want to charge what they can and get whatever they can out of it. But in my particular case, for instance, and I've talked about this a bunch of times, I'll buy a property that was inherited by somebody, so they have no mortgage. In fact, I'm going to use an exact example. So I bought a 6-unit apartment house, 6 units. The people that lived there were each paying $700 a month for rent. Do the math. 6 times 7 is $4,200 a month. The property taxes there are about $2,000 a month, and the insurance is about $300 a month, $2,300. So the owner of that property didn't owe anything because they owned the property. They were still making themselves $1,500 a month profit, right? So they were happy charging $700 a month and getting $1,500 a month in their pocket. True story. Now I come along, Jeff Butler. I buy that property. I have to borrow $500,000 to buy that house. Now I have to add that to my mortgage, right? $500,000. So my mortgage on that property is about $3,500 a month right now, I think. $3,300 a month. But then I have taxes, I have insurance, right? Expenses, gas. So that property now costs me $6,000 a month to operate. Well, even more than that. We'll just say, we'll use the number 6,000, right? Because it's 6 unit. That means the rents have to be at least $1,000 a unit for me to break even. They were only paying $700. So by me raising the rent from $700 to $1,000, am I being greedy or am I just trying to pay my bills? If I go to $1,200, am I being greedy or I'm trying to make $200 per unit, which is $1,200 a month? So that's where the problem is from a tenant's point of view. They don't understand sometimes the landlord's expenses or behind the scenes. But that's a perfect example of what happened with me. I bought this property, and by the way, it's a waterfront piece of property. The rent should really be between $1,600 and $1,800 a month for these units. All I did was raise them up to about $1,200 a month so I could cover my mortgage and make a few dollars in my pocket. Because again, that's the business I'm in. Doesn't mean I'm greedy. I'm in the business to make money. When I sell an ice cream cone, it's not a charitable ice cream shop. I sell it so I can make a profit. When I rent audiovisual equipment, we do production for a show. I'm out there, and yes, we make a profit. That's what we do. When we pick up people's trash and we bring it to the landfill, I make a profit because that's the business I'm in. I do not run any nonprofit organizations or any churches. All my businesses, hopefully, will make some sort of a profit. Doesn't mean I'm greedy. It means I want to pay my bills. I want to pay my expenses. I want to keep my employees happy, keep them working, pay them. So that's important. In Vermont, people are asking $1,700 for 2 bedrooms. So I don't know what the going rate in Vermont is. Seems a little high to be Vermont, right? But in New Jersey, I can see the prices being higher. New York, obviously, Boston. So rent is going up. Now, here's another reason why rent's going up, right? Interest rates. I refinanced a property a year ago. I got 3.5%. I just refinanced a property today, yesterday, 5.5%. It went up 2%. So that means my expenses are higher, right? So what do I have to do? I have to charge more for the rent to cover my expenses. So there's an example of why, you as a landlord or a property owner, you have to charge more. Do you have to gouge people? No. Now, that being said, I will tell you, if I gouged people, I would have a rash of empty apartments. And I don't. I actually have, we have some empty apartments, ones we're painting and renovating, but we pretty much have a waiting list. We have people call us up, you have anything available. So that tells me that we're not being greedy, kind of tells me that we are charging the right amount of money. But yeah, there are greedy people out there, but if they're going to be that greedy, they're going to have empty apartments, in my opinion. Property taxes are going up. Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's why, I feel bad when renters say the landlord's being greedy. But here's the other thing, too. With me, it's full transparency. When I raise the rent, I like to tell the tenant why. Look, the electricity went up, the heat went up, the gas went up. Here's an example. Some of my buildings, right, we pay for the heat, right? What happened this winter? The oil prices went out of whack, right? So who covers that? I have to raise the rent to cover the cost of the oil prices. So all these things are they all are connected with each other and cause the rents to go up. It's not just because the landlord says, I think I want to make an extra $1,000 this month. No. Obviously, something happened to force the landlord to raise those prices. But do people take advantage? Yeah, I'm sure there are some people out there taking advantage. Just say, the prices go up, so I have to go up. Well, no, there must be a reason. Share the information. Have multiple windows open, but queue the customers like most stores. Well, yeah, no, you're right. You can have multiple lines and they all still go to one line. So I try to train the staff to say, hey, I'm open over here. I'll serve the next customer over here. But you're right. People still, creatures of habit will go to that one line. Very good point. But you hope that you can, the staff can be friendly and say, hey, we'd love to come over to my other window, come over here, spread out, and, No, I understand what you're saying, Lion. No, I understand that, and I'm not saying you were saying I was being greedy. I'm just trying to explain why, why the perception is sometimes that landlords are greedy. And believe me, I'm told that I'm greedy all the time by different tenants. I say, well, look, go look for another apartment, and I think you'll come back and change your mind. But yeah, there are greedy landlords out there, supply and demand landlords out there. In a very expensive area, yeah, they're just charging what they can charge because they're in the area where they can charge what they can charge. But what happens is that, when I buy a piece of property that it's all paid for and the people charging low rents, the previous owners, it's a challenge for me because I have a mortgage and I have no choice but to raise the rents to cover my mortgage. So that's what happens, So the other thing is this, from a tenant's point of view, if you live in a building where the rents are high and the landlord says, well, my heating costs, sometimes the building's a piece of shit, right? There's no insulation. There's it's cold, it's drafty, the doors don't close, or there's water leaks. So that the landlord has not done their job to maintain the property and keep the expenses down. You have to blame the oh boy, I just got my mother unfortunately got COVID at a wedding last week. And all week long, we were nervous that my father's going to be tested positive. I just got a text that my father just tested positive. In fact, my mother's usually on TikTok watching me. I don't know if she's on tonight because she's been very ill with COVID. They're both 89, so I have to worry about them. Went through the whole COVID thing, right, for 2 years. Never got it. Get the shots, their booster shots, nothing. And all of a sudden, they got it. So it's unfortunate, So that's really too bad. Oh, that's too bad. So hopefully, and my mother, she's getting all the symptoms, very, very ill right now. And my father just, I guess, got it today. He wasn't feeling well yesterday, and he's been testing himself every day, and he just sent me a thing. So that's too bad. That's really unfortunate. And they did move into their new condo last week, and from what I understand, they're very happy with it. So at least they're in a nice place, but right now, but that's too bad. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do there. Yeah, they got their shots. I think they even got their second booster shot, I do live close to them. They only live, so my parents live in Florida in the winter, and they live in Rhode Island here in the summer. So my staff just got done renovating a condo that they bought. They purchased a condo back last September. So while they were in Florida, we went through the whole condo, renovated the whole thing, fixed it up. So they moved back to Rhode Island into their brand new condo last week. So that's the story with that. But anyway, yeah, so it's too bad because, like I said, they went through the whole, 2.5 years without getting COVID, without getting sick, getting the shots, doing everything, and now all of a sudden they both have it this week. So that is unfortunate, So I live in Quahog. I do live in Quahog, Rhode Island. So what's interesting is, Lion, I appreciate your comments because you're right. So the price of groceries is going up. The price of gas, the price of everything is going up. Building materials, building supplies. Oh, that's the other thing too. To build a building right now costs 30% higher than it did a year ago. To renovate an apartment costs a landlord 30% more than it did a year ago. But listen, I'm not happy about that because you're right. You have to pass the cost on to your tenants, your renters, or the buyers of your property, your buyer's house. So everyone thinks, I can sell my house and get top dollar right now. But look, the prices are up for a lot of reasons. There are people still not working. I don't know why they're not working. Every day I walk into a business, help wanted, help wanted, help wanted. Where is all this help? Now, I will tell you, I am sick and tired of the politicians saying unemployment is down right now. That's not true. It's a lie. Unemployment is based on people collecting unemployment. So what they should say is the amount of people collecting unemployment is down. Doesn't mean they're employed. They are just not collecting unemployment. They're getting rent relief. They're working under the table. They're working illegally somewhere. But please do not listen to the politicians look, I'm not picking sides. I'm not going to tell you what side I'm on. Just don't listen to any of the politicians that say, that unemployment is down. Okay, unemployment is not down. Look at yourselves. We're all human. We all look educated, common sense people. Look at how many places are looking for help. You go to the restaurants, not enough waitresses, not enough cooks, not enough staff. You go to a store, not enough people working in the stores. So that is what's aiding to the prices of things going up. And it's unfortunate. Here we go. Yeah, that's crazy. So somebody just said everyone's getting COVID right now. It is strange that all of a sudden there's another wave of COVID. Now, knock on wood, lucky for me, I have not had it. I have all my shots. I've had my booster shots. I did think I had it early on, before COVID became a thing. It was like in February. Remember, we got it like in March. I was very ill in the month of February for a few days. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I had it and didn't realize it because it wasn't a thing then. But for all I know, I have not had it. And I've been tested a few times because obviously when people in the office got it, I would go get tested. Of course, I can't see my parents now because they both have it, so I have to talk on FaceTime or whatever. But it's weird. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are getting COVID right now, Well, that's true. The variants are a problem. All these different variants, that are coming out. And that's why people that have their shots, like my parents got it because these variants are out there right now, right? So that's what happened there, So anyway. So am I starting to see foreclosures in my area? Not yet. And I'm disappointed, or actually I'm surprised. Here's what bothers me, okay? They had rent relief for the tenants, right? All these tenants had rent relief. I did not see any mortgage relief, if that's what you want to call it, or any type of forbearance relief for property owners, single-family homeowners, like yourselves, just like myself. If I was a cook in a restaurant and I owned my own home and I got laid off during COVID, what help would I have gotten? None. I would have to beg my bank to work with me. My credit would tank. My credit would get screwed up, right? There was no help for homeowners like that, just renters. And that was a little strange to me, and that bothers me, that they didn't really help those people. Oh, Justin Thomas won, huh? But yeah, so what happens is, so regarding the foreclosures, 5 years ago, I could go to 50 auctions a week or more. Now, there might be 4 or 5 scheduled a week, and then 3 of them get canceled. The foreclosures have not really started yet from over the last few years. Do I believe there will be? There will be. There absolutely will be. Because prior to COVID, the last 4 years, the banks were up to their tricks again. No money down loans, mortgages with no money down. So now all these people, right now, the house market is high, right? So there's equity in those homes. There's equity. But when the houses in the next 6 months, a year start to level off, there won't be equity in those homes, and that's when I think we're going to start seeing the foreclosures. I think. That's ridiculous. I got to shut my air conditioning off. Now I'm freezing. How rude. He walks away from his TikTok live. What a rude guy. That's it. I'm not watching him anymore. Anyway. So, Chicken Bucket was live yesterday at Walmart. Was he really? Oh, wow. When the market crashes, people will buy more apartment buildings. So, maybe I think what happened was back in 2008, 2009, when the market crashed then, I think a lot of people cohabitated. I think a lot of kids moved home with their parents. Son-in-laws, daughters moved with their parents. I think a lot of that happened. I don't think you saw a lot of people go to apartments because if they didn't have the money to pay for the house, they really didn't have money to pay for an apartment too. I think a lot of people just moved in with each other, and rent and shared. I think more so. But I could be wrong. But that's what I think. Have you heard of monkeypox? Yes, I saw it on the news. I guess monkeypox is a thing again, right? That was from years ago. Now it's in the news again, monkeypox. That's what I'm saying. There's so many illnesses out there. And of course, I had that stupid Rocky Mountain spotted fever myself a couple months ago, which is gone. I told everybody I got my cortisone shot last week, Tuesday. The pain went away in my back. My back feels great. I can sit here right now. My right leg is still hurting me. I'm doing some stretches to help it. I can sleep at night, which is, look, that's the most important thing. I can sleep for the most part at night, but my leg is still hurting me. But my back pain is gone, which I thought the leg pain was coming from the back. But I'm going to still go to physical therapy. But I'm still going to call my doctor tomorrow because I still got this leg pain. But the back pain is gone, so I'm living a lot better than I was, that's for sure. That's for sure. Do you do all the lawn care for your buildings? So yes, that was a whole TikTok series I did last summer. I had a lawn care company that was doing you can call it lawn care. So what happened was I had this one guy, he put together a crew of 2-3 people, and he did my cutting my grass. That's pretty much all he did, is cut the grass. Didn't really do anything extra. Didn't hedge to trim the hedges, rake leaves, didn't do that. He was really just a lawn cutting guy. At the time, I only had like 20 pieces of property. What happened was he last year decided he got a better job. He works at a bank, got a big job, big promotion. He didn't need to do the landscaping anymore. So I had the opportunity to hire an outside landscaping company, or do I start my own, or put together my own crew. So that's what we did. We hired 3 guys. They're fantastic. They all have experience. We put together a landscape trailer with all the tools they need on it. Every tool they could possibly use for landscaping is on the trailer. We keep the trailer in one of our garages, and they go out every day and they do all of our landscaping. But what's nice about it is because they're my employees, they're on my payroll, I have a little more control over them, quality control. So I tell them, look, when you go every day, one of you guys, trim the hedges, right, when you get there. The other one can be blowing all the walkways, and the other one can cut the grass. So they split up, and they've been doing, obviously they've been doing my yard the last couple of weeks, and I have 67 pieces of property, so they go from one to the other, to the other, to the other. I'll tell you, they are busy. They're stretched. I might have to think about splitting them up and getting another, two crews. But they've been doing a great job. It was a really good decision at that time to use my own staff, put together my own landscapers, because then we can, we can control where they are, what they're doing, and when they do it. So it worked out well for me. And from a cost point of view, it's good too, because it's basically a budget. I know what I'm paying them every week, right? That's my budget to take care of all my properties. And I actually think my properties are looking better now because we're doing the trimming the hedges and mulching and stuff like that. So they're actually starting to look better now. Yeah, I got to tell you something. Yoga, the second person that told me that this weekend, try the yoga. And I think you're right. I'm going to have to I think I'm going to try it. I think I'm going to try it. Somebody told me acupuncture, right? So I've been doing some research on acupuncture. And the thing about the acupuncture is it's psychological to a certain extent. You got to really believe that it's going to work for it to work. The little tiny needles and, I'm a little skeptical, so I don't think it would work for me because I don't believe it. Yoga, I think, would work. Definitely think yoga would work. I've heard that from a number of people. And it's a physical thing that you're doing. It's an exercise, right? Or a form of exercise, yoga. So I can see that. But yeah, no, I appreciate that, your opinion. Hey, Brandon, how you doing? Brandon said hi to me. So I only do the lawn care for my properties. In other words, we didn't start a lawn care service. So it's kind of like my maintenance guys, right? My plumbers, my electricians, they only work for me. My carpenters work for me in my properties, my buildings. Now, every once in a while, I'll have a friend, hey, Jeff, can you help me out? Fine. But it's important that I worry about just making sure that I'm giving my tenants 100% quality. And, with COVID and being short-staffed, it's been tough even getting that done. So until I can get a handle on that, I think we're going to maintain just our properties, though Andrew and I have always talked about expanding the property management to do other people's properties. But right now, they're just doing all of my own properties. And that's enough. We don't have enough hours in the week for that. Let's see. Hey, Dover, New Hampshire, how you doing? That's Robert, you just asked a question and a half. What am I going to do about the tenants now that rent relief is ending? I don't know. And I'm glad you asked that question. We've been getting so much rent relief. I mean, they were handing out like water to tenants who I believe didn't even need it. But that being said, of course, make money, I just said that being said about 100 times. I got to hope these tenants have income, go out and get a job. Like I said, there's help wanted signs out there. The only thing look, I can speculate on a few things. I can think, okay, listen, they were working under the table, had money coming in. The bonus was they were getting rent relief, taking full advantage of the system. That's the pessimistic side of me. It's also the realistic side of me. But I'm hoping that these people realize that, look, the gig is up right now. We have to get back to work, America. Let's go back and live our lives. Let's go back and set an example for our kids. Let's go back and set an example for ourselves. Go back and have pride in ourselves and get to work and do a job and put an honest living in and get an honest paycheck at the end of the week and pay our rent. So I'm going to have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, this was a serious conversation in the office last week. What's going to happen when rent relief ends on June 1st, right? The realistic thing to me is that because there's so many job opportunities out there right now, that I'm not going to be as sympathetic with people not paying their rent. That's my personal feeling. Only because there's jobs out there. Home Depot hiring, Walmart hiring, Lowe's hiring, restaurants hiring, waitresses, waiters. Everybody's hiring. If there was no jobs out there, then of course I have to be a little sympathetic. But there are jobs out there. So if these people, if they're saying that, oh, I don't have any money, I'm not working, that doesn't float with me anymore. It doesn't float with me anymore. I can't have sympathy because there's so many jobs out there right now. So I'm sorry. Yes, so we've already let them know we fully expect them to pay. In fact, when it came to the rent relief, so rent relief, one of the clauses in the rent relief agreement was the tenants would make good faith payments during the time they apply for rent relief. So I made it clear to my tenants, very clear, in writing many times, the property manager made it clear, if you don't make the good faith payments during that time, when I say good faith payment, $50 a week, $100 a week, they're collecting unemployment. A percentage of their rent, half, 25%, I don't care. That's a good faith payment. If they chose not to make a good faith payment, and some of them chose not to make a good faith payment, when rent relief is over, we will not be renewing their lease. And I made that clear to them, and I mean that, because that means they were taking advantage of a system, of a broken system. And you know what? They were taking advantage of me. I still have to pay my mortgages. I have mortgages, I have taxes, I have insurance. And there was a time when I had a lot of tenants not paying where I had to go borrow some money. So that's not fair to me. So I asked them, just make good faith payments. By having 380 tenants, and say half of them are on rent relief, and those half are paying good faith payments, it's enough cash flow that could keep me going. But the ones that said, no, F you, I'm not paying, I'm waiting for rent relief. Okay, well now guess what? Now you can move out of my nice apartment and go find a piece of shit to live in because you're not living in my house anymore. So trust me, I'm not very sympathetic to the ones who are not working. Do I accept? Oh, yes, I do accept Section 8. We accept Section 8. We accept any type of housing assistance for the apartments. And as long as the tenants pass the background check they pass all of our background checks and the litmus test, then we'll rent to them. Yep. Yeah, we have no problem with that. But rent relief does go to the So this is a problem that I didn't expect tonight. Shame on me. But I'm going to show Business 101, okay? So the stores are so busy tonight that one of the stores ran out of change. Of course, change is a problem right now. So that was the store calling me. So again, I don't mind sharing that with you, okay? Hey, it's me. Listen, the Elmwood store just called. They got a little bit of a problem. They ran out of change. 1s and 5s? Okay, so do you mind calling them back and suggest that to them too? I don't know if they even have any there, but do we have any at the office? Do you mind going over there and bringing it to them, please? All right. If you want to call them, tell them to do that. That's a good idea. What you just said about the tips. But if you don't mind stopping by the office and get them some ones or whatever. And now listen, same thing. If you can broad, you can just go in the safe. You know what I'm saying? Or same thing with Elmwood, for that matter. There might be something that's from yesterday. See? I appreciate it. Thanks, Tim. All right, bye. Bye. So there's a good example because we keep ones on hand in the safe. You get ones and fives to make change. So there's an example, right? But shame on me. The stores are wicked busy tonight. The weather. This is early in the season for the stores to be this busy. Yesterday broke a record, and yesterday broke a record, and it looks like today's breaking a record too. The stores have grown every year since I've owned them. Every year they increase just a little bit more in sales, which is really interesting because they've never peaked out. And again, you can see I don't mind sharing our problems with you because if you ever open up a store, these are things to think about, right? It's a Sunday night, 8 o'clock, we're running out of change. But who knew, right? Who knew that was going to be a problem? You can't hear me? You guys can hear me, right? I turned my mic off when I was on the phone, but yeah, I'm back on now. With the high commercial rates, if I put a pause on purchasing properties? Yes, in a kind of a way I did. I wouldn't say I put a pause on it, but I'm a lot more careful what I'm going to spend my money on or how much I spend on a property. Here's what happens with that. The high commercial rates should force the price of the property down a little bit. So it should be a balance there. In other words, you can't sell your property if nobody can get a loan, right? So now maybe you have to sell it for less money. That's how it usually checks and balances itself. Same thing with the high prices of houses right now, right? If nobody can get mortgages because the interest rates is high, well, guess what? I guess you can't charge $500,000 for that $400,000 house. You're gonna have to. So if that's what we're already seeing some price reductions in houses right now because of the interest rates. So that's a good point. So with me, it may not keep me from buying the house, but it may force me to offer less money for the house. I guess would be I mean, that's how I would look at it. My microphone's loose. Let's see. You know, I can't believe coins are made these days either. It's crazy. And we're having this stupid coin shortage, this money shortage all of a sudden. Why is that? You know, now that's something I haven't even looked into. Does anybody on TikTok know why they're having this coin shortage? That's what I'd like to know. Hey, makes money. I saw, it's funny, I got an alert on my phone that you put a video up on TikTok, so I'll have to check it out. I got an alert on my phone that Make Money put a, let's see. That's funny. He's a character, Makes Money. I'm looking for his video. So rent relief does go to the landlord, but rent relief is running out right now, so there won't be any rent relief going to the landlord because it's running out right now. So right now, yeah, I still will be getting rent relief until it runs out in June. But I'm concerned that people are so used to sitting at home, not working, or working under the table getting cash, that they just don't want to get back to the mundane, everyday go to work thing. And I feel bad. I know it's tough. It stinks for a lot of people. It really does stink for a lot of people. You know, I'm supposed to have plans. So at 8:30, so that's why I'm trying to see if they're still on. If they're not, then I can stay on. All right, good. I'm glad I called. I don't have to have my plans, so that's good. So anyway, so rent relief is ending. I know what's going to happen with the tenants. We're going to work with the tenants as much as we can, but look, it all depends on circumstances, right? Why are they out of work? Why are they not working? Why can't they come up with the rent? It's going to have to be a case-by-case basis, I think. It is amazing. $6 trillion disappeared. And, I just don't know. I don't know if it's like, I hate to say spoiled children, but people are used to getting this money. And now what are they going to do? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm lucky for the most part. All my tenants are paying. The tenants that got rent relief as it ran out, they started picking up where they left off, paying their rent. So far, it's been good. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. So far, it's been very good. But we're keeping our fingers crossed that in June, people still pay their rents and that type of thing. So we'll have to see what happens. Yep, COVID is back with the monkeypox. It's getting worse. It's very strange. It's very strange. All of a sudden, monkeypox is back. There's only been a couple of cases, but again, starts with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then what happens? Look, every Sunday the sun goes down during my live, right? Turn the lamp on. Yep, the sun goes down during my live every Sunday. Hey, chicken bucket in the house. Can you discuss repairs, maintenance type? Yeah, okay, that's a very good question. So my single family houses, if I rent a single family house, I make it clear to the tenant that's there, they're responsible for cutting the grass, maintaining the house. If the heat breaks, they have to call us. Of course, we'll fix the heat, stuff like that. Depends on the repair and the maintenance. I will give them a hookup for the washer and dryer. They put their own washer and dryer. If it breaks, that's their problem. They need to fix it. That's a single family house. Multi-family house, a tenement house or 3-family, whatever it may be. We're responsible for all the repairs and maintenance, normal wear and tear. If we go into an apartment and somebody ripped down the smoke detectors because they're smoking cigarettes and hiding, well, they have to pay for that repair. If we go into an apartment and they smoked in the apartment like a chimney, they're not going to get their money back because we have to repaint the apartment. So that's all residential. Commercial tenants are completely different. Commercial tenants, when they lease a space, they are responsible for everything. The heat, electricity, repairs, doors, windows. It's their leased premises. Now people say, why? Why is that for the commercial tenants? Because what happens with commercial tenants, it's more wear and tear, right? You have a family renting a house. It's only 2 or 3, 4 people, right? Living a normal life. Commercial tenants, say you have a bakery. Well, you got the door slamming every 5 minutes, people coming in out the bakery door, right? So the door might break once a week or twice a week, whatever it may be. Well, that's because the bakery's busy making money, and they're busy. Well, they should maintain repairing that door, repairing their glass, repairing whatever it may be. The wear and tear on the floor, people going in and out of the bakery, right? The floor might come up, the tiles. So that's why a commercial tenant is responsible normally for all of their own wear and tear, maintenance, and repairs. Residential tenants, no. Residential tenants, we cover everything for residential tenants. And again, it depends. We've had, of course, if a residential tenant punches a hole in the wall, they're paying for that. They break a door due to negligence, they're paying for that. So it all depends on the circumstances, but typically normal wear and tear, we pay for it. That's part of us being landlords, right? Are renters responsible for drain stoppage? Yes and no. So here's what I say about that. We have a couple buildings that have macerator pumps. They're sewer pumps that are outside the building. So what happens is a sewage system. So people throw this stuff down the drains, down the toilet, whatever it may be, and the sewer pump may get clogged and we have to repair it. Well, we don't know which tenant in the building did it if it's a 5-unit building, right? But what happens is tenants will throw rags, cloths, the cloth baby wipes down there. You can't put those down the toilet because they clog up the sewer pump. Then the sewer pump breaks. Then it backs up to the apartment. The culprits call us and complain, right? That's what happens. So that's what happens. But if they clog their toilet in their apartment, now we know that they were the ones who clogged their toilet. We've pulled toilets out. There's been toys in there, babies' toys. Of course, they're responsible for that repair. Or cloth wipes. They put baby wipes down the toilet. They're responsible for that repair because it's in their lease. You are not to put those things down the toilet. They want to be lazy, put it down the toilet, down the garbage disposal. Then yes, you're going to have to pay. Drain stoppage in a whole building, no, we have to cover that expense because we don't know, we can't determine who did it, so we have to cover it. But within an apartment, if a drain has too much hair in it, well, you know what, that's different. That's normal wear and tear. But if they're purposely throwing down baby wipes and towels and stuff like that, which they do all the time, then they are responsible. Did you get? Yes, the grass got cut at the haunted house. You're so funny. I was talking about the haunted house earlier, but you missed it, Chicken Bucket. You missed my whole story on the haunted house. It was the very first conversation we had tonight. Normal wear and tear, okay, so if you have somebody living in an apartment, say there for 2 or 3 years, right? And there's carpet in the apartment, and after 2 or 3 years the carpet is worn out, that's normal wear and tear. We're not going to charge them for replacing the carpet. We're going to go in there, we're going to replace the carpet, which now, for the most part, I use vinyl flooring, the real nice life-proof vinyl flooring, and I let the tenants put their own throw carpets down, throw rugs down, because it protects the flooring, plus, it makes it more comfortable for them. They can buy their own carpet. So that's what we do now. But saying there's a carpet in there and it wears out, that's normal wear and tear, okay? They're living there for a year and a half and the doorknob breaks, okay? That's normal wear and tear. Doorknobs break, it wore out, whatever it may be. That's normal wear and tear. But abnormal wear and tear is if they smoke in the house and the shades are all full of smoke. And well, that's not normal wear and tear. It's against the rules of the lease. They have to pay for it. So it's kind of a common sense type of thing, but that's what normal wear and tear would be. Just things that wear out normally, okay, or break normally. You're on a graveyard paving? Oh, yeah, huh? Graveyard shift, protecting Ohio and Ohio. Oh, that's right, you're in Ohio, that's right. You're working the graveyard shift tonight. Make money, Uncle Jeff. Does Rhode Island require landlords to cover water and sewer? No. So here's how that works. Again, going back to commercial versus residential. Commercial properties, my commercial tenants they pay for their own water and their sewer. They pay whatever sewer usage they use, whatever water usage they use. If I rent a single-family house to somebody, they are responsible for their water and sewer. Why? Because it's a single-family house. We know that they're the ones using the water and sewer. A multi-family residential building, I pay for the water and sewer because, again, it's multi-family, right? If I wanted to, I could put sub-meters in for each apartment and figure out what the water and sewer is, but that's costly, so that's built into the lease. But for commercial leases, tenants do pay their own water and sewer, and single-family houses, they pay for the water and sewer. You want to come Butler? You want to run Butler Waste? Hey, I got to tell you something, Chicken Bucket. You probably hit me at the right time. We have an opening in Butler Waste. We do need somebody to run Butler Waste. What it is it's growing, so we need more than one. Nicole's right now running it, but we need another person to really oversee it as well because it's getting busier and busier. The company's growing, so that's funny. So yeah, if you wanted to talk about that, I have no problem with that because I got 2 property manager positions open in Elmwood Realty. I got a position open in Butler Waste, at least one office position, management position. We have, what else do we have? Elmwood Realty, of course, I have carpenter openings. I have a plumber opening. So it's tough. We can't hire anybody either, It's very, very difficult to get people. So in York County, owners are responsible for commercial roofing, not the renter. So commercial roofing, well, yeah, obviously the roof is on top of the building, so we wouldn't have our tenant be responsible for the roof either, unless they did something to the roof to damage it. No, the roof goes to the building. That would be our issue. We have to maintain our own roofs. But again, it's one of those things where it depends on the use of the property. Here's a good example. Okay, you rent to a flower shop. Let's say you rent to a flower shop. Here's an example. You rent to a flower shop. Well, they water their plants every day, and it drips on the floor, and it rots out the floorboards, and it rots out the joists, right? Whose fault is that? Is it the landlord's fault? No, it's the business of the flower shop. The use of their business did the damage, so they would be responsible for those repairs. That's the only way I can explain it. Where the nature of the business caused the damage, so because of that, they would be responsible for those repairs. Okay, because if I rented to a barber shop, well, of course, they're not going to be rotting out the floor joists and what, so there's a good example. Yeah, I know. I have to bring my other nephews in. So, well, one nephew's in California, and let's see, and my other nephew's in Florida. So I don't know if they want to come in. Two nephews is enough too. I think I told you I do have a niece in Florida. I offered her a position, but she likes Florida. She doesn't want to leave Florida. I offered her a good job too, but she does not want to leave Florida. Oh, really? Wow, your landlord offered you to manage his high rise and he raised your rent 10%? That's interesting. I guess, that's an odd one. I hire, I've talked about this before, I will hire some of my tenants as an employee, but it would be completely different, employment contract, lease, completely separate. I always separate those issues. They can be a tenant and not be an employee. They can be an employee and not be a tenant. So I always separate it. But I wonder why you raised your rent 10%. That wasn't very nice of them. That's too bad. Yeah, you guys, the honorary Murphy, I could bring you guys in. I don't know if we'd ever get any work done. I don't know. I think you guys, have too much fun. Maybe not. We still have to get together when you're in Rhode Island. Do you ever come, hey, Chicken Bucket, do you ever come back to Rhode Island at all or no? Yeah, I could put in the quarter showers like in the campground. You charge for showers. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, so here's one for you talking about that, right? So I have a 5-unit building. My water bill every month is around $50 a month, which is average for my properties. That's what's nice about me putting my eyes on all my properties, my bills, because I can see if there's an anomaly or some problem. The other day I got a water bill and it ended up being $150 a month for the last 3 months. It's tripled in this building. So now we're thinking something's wrong there. So first thing we did is we went to see if any water was running during the day and night, because we're going through 150 gallons of water a day extra. So the only thing I can think of is that one of the tenants put a washer and dryer in their apartment without permission. There is a coin-operated one down in the basement. But the only time we've ever had a problem like this is where they've hooked one of those up to their kitchen sink or something, and they get their kids coming over and bringing their laundry. So now tomorrow we have to do an inspection because we have to figure out why is this water bill 3 times the amount. So those are the things that being a landlord you have to look at when there's an anomaly in gas usage or water usage or sewer usage, because there's something strange there and we will figure it out. But there's a good example of what I think is going on there, So so that's what happens. Leaking toilet, people don't realize a leaking toilet, a leaking faucet can cost thousands of dollars. But what happened was when we checked the other day, so our water meters have a leak detector on them, which is really cool, Kent County Water. So you can tell if there's a leak. If you watch the water meter, it will tell you if there's a leak, like it's just a slow drip leak, and we don't have that there. That's why we're thinking that somebody is just using water in large quantities for a short period of time, because there is no water leak in the building. But you're right, water leaks is usually the biggest culprit of a crazy water bill. You're right. Yep, leaking toilets. Is Bill Burr your neighbor? No, why do you think that? Bill Burr. That's funny. I'm just looking at the notes. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. But yeah, so the ice cream business is a unique business because it's all weather related. I told you yesterday we're breaking records. It looks like tonight we're breaking some records too, which is amazing to me because it's only 8:30. The store's closed at 10 o'clock, so it's another hour and a half, and so that's really good, But again, you saw early on in my TikTok I was late today because I had to go to the ice cream shop and fix the internet. So you never know what's going to happen. There's always something that can possibly go wrong, you know? And why is the internet vital to the ice cream business? Because the credit card system works on the Wi-Fi, the cameras work on the Wi-Fi, the telephone works on the Wi-Fi. So it's very important to keep all the systems up and running. So anyway, so that's it. I think I answered all the questions that I had for today, because I know there was some questions from earlier and that I wanted to talk about. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. I hate when I miss a question. Yeah, overuse of the washing machine is a huge problem. Yeah, so, so that's reading these comments are all realistic things that have happened. We've had tenants be mad at us, and yes, they'll run the water to get the bill up 24/7. But when they do that, then we just shut the water off downstairs and tell them, look, until we can get your apartment and fix it, I guess you have no water. So, because that's an emergency repair. So they can try that, they can play that game, but we'll catch them. And what's crazy about that is they lose the apartment. That's not a winning game for them, okay? Because they're going to be out of the apartment. But yeah, they'll pull that shit. They do, The washing machine, so that's why we have coin-operated washing machines in all our buildings. It's a convenience for the tenants, but the problem is when it's in the apartments, very often the tenants take advantage of it. And that's why that's a problem, when the tenants take advantage. Let's see. We did raise ice cream prices this year, and we had to because the ice cream costs during the winter. We got letters from the ice cream manufacturers. All their prices went up about 10%. So that caused us to have to raise our prices a little bit to be up there. But here's what's interesting. I've done this from the first day I opened up my ice cream shop. My father and I, my father, I give him credit. He would go around to every store in the area and get their prices. And we would make sure that we were always a better value, less money than the competition. So even this year, my father was in Florida. My wife and I went around and looked at all the competition. We had to raise our prices. We had no choice, but we still are less money than the competition in the area. It's very important for me to do that. I'd rather make my money over volume. I'm not trying to gouge anybody. I'm not trying to get rich off anybody. First of all, the ice cream business, you're not going to get rich, okay? You say get rich, but it is a good, profitable business if you run it consistently, you run it good. You take care of your customers, make sure they get good helpings, good servings, you have pleasant staff, you can make some money. There's no reason to take advantage, okay? Who was it that was telling me they got 2 ice cream cones a couple weeks ago at a store? They paid like $15 for 2 ice cream cones. That's ridiculous, So we wanted some people keep going back. I'd rather make it over volume. The other thing we do is the punch cards. The best thing I ever did is the punch cards. About 8 years ago, we started using, you get 9 punches, then the 10th punch, you get $5 off in your next order. Well, that's ice cream. Well, that's a large ice cream cone, 3 scoop ice cream cone for free. So we do things like that, the loyalty club, and it works out very well. And I will always do that. I want to give back. What's the best excuse I've had for not having rent? Well, the best excuse is, we've had my dog ate my rent money. It was on the table. My dog ate it. We've had that, which I thought was funny. The dog ate the homework. The dog ate rent money. We've had somebody came in my apartment and stole the money. So we're like, well, you better call the police and file a police report. Because people aren't thinking quick enough to tell us a stupid story. So we've had that. I mean, the most stories we get is, my car broke down. I had to get my car fixed. And I'm like, well, you can't live in your car. But we understand. The big thing is this. So say the rent's $1,000 a month, right? I love when they say, the 5th of the month we'll call them up. Well, I only have 800. Fine. Where were you 4 days ago with the 800? Bring us that. Now you only owe us 2. When a tenant makes a good faith effort, they come and see us on the first. Hey, I know my rent's 1,000. Here's 500. I'm up against it. Here's 500. I'll be in a couple of days with 2 more hundred. We don't charge late fees. We don't do anything. We put together a payment plan. Okay, what day will we be in? And we mark it down on the calendar and we put it on their record. But when we have to chase them, that's when the bullshit starts. And that's when it becomes a whole different story. But for the most part, if they come in, they talk to us, say, look, I only have this much money, had a short week last week, whatever it may be, we work with them. I got a check from rent relief for smoked up 12,000. Yeah, I'm sure, huh? Your dog ate paper nipped. Yeah, my dogs do too. So you know what my dogs do? They go in the bathroom and they get the roll of toilet paper and they run. It's on the roll and they'll run around the house with it and pull the whole thing off the roll and they play with it and rip it all up. So yeah, they like paper too, which is funny. Just seeing if there's anything else I missed. I know the guy who burnt me. I know he smoked the 12. I knew you were talking about makes money. He smoked the 12,000. You know. Just looking at my other questions because, like I said, I saved the questions, and during my live, I like to answer some of the questions. Oh, how long does eviction take? So let's talk about that in Rhode Island. Put your TikTok on live. Yeah, I got to find it. I'll find it and put it on. How long does eviction take in Rhode Island? So here's how it works with a non-payment, a tenant who did not pay their rent. On the 16th of the month, we have to give them a 5-day demand notice. It means they have 5 days to pay their rent. On the 21st, we then file the eviction. My lawyer will file the eviction in court. Then they'll give them a date. Okay, we have to go to court. It's usually 2 weeks, so probably the first week of the following month when we have to go to court. So they haven't paid that whole month. Now we go to court on the first day of the following month. What happens is sometimes by then, half the time by then the tenant will pay their rent and we drop the case and they pay the late fees. But if we end up going to court, then what happens is they'll lose because they can't win a case and they didn't pay their rent. They'll come up with some sort of excuse, but for the most part, they're going to lose. They then have 5 days to appeal it to Superior Court, where they can appeal it and go upstairs to Superior Court. That's another 3 weeks or so. So now we're into the end of the next month. But again, they're going to lose in Superior Court because there is no defense to not paying rent. So they'll lose. And then we get the eviction. So it usually takes us at the most 8 weeks, but we have the security deposit for 4 weeks. So we may lose a month rent on that. But at that point, we're glad to see them go. We replace them with a rent-paying tenant. That's how that works. All right, let me find your TikTok. Makes money, wants me to play his TikTok. So let me see how I can find this. Follower. Makes Money is one of my number one fans. So, all right. Is this it? Is this the one?
Yeah, you have live chickens?
Live chickens?
Live chickens.
Sorry, what?
I need a bucket of chicken.
Oh,
Yeah, how many pieces?
What are they, 8?
8 pieces? Yeah, sure thing. Would you like 3 sides or 2 sides?
Half extra crispy,
And half original?
and half original, 2 mashed and a coleslaw.
2 mashed and a coleslaw?
this is Makes Money, by the way.
Half original?
Yep.
Alright, anything else?
You don't sell live chickens here?
No, we don't sell live chickens.
Damn it. All right. Thank you.
So, 5 butters, half extra crispy, half original, 2 mashed potatoes and gravy, and a coleslaw, 4 biscuits. It's going to be 31.34.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, that's pretty good. That's funny. Live chickens. You have live chickens. That's funny. Hey, when I was in the Boy Scouts, we used to have to cut the head off the chicken and cook it. That was one of our things we had to do when I was a kid in the Boy Scouts. We actually had to cut the head off a chicken. But anyway, which was not fun, by the way. The live chicken. How many rentals do you have, including commercial? So total rentals I have right now is about 380, including my commercial tenants. I believe it's 380. When I finish the 50, then it will be over 400. But right now it's 380, I think. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I'll have to double check that and let you know, but we're close. I just bought that one last week with 6 more units in it. But then when we do the 50, then obviously we'll be over the 400. So, but that's how many we have right now. And out of the 380, maybe about 18 of those are commercial. And then we also have about 12 garages that we rent. Nothing yet on the compound in Johnson, but they went to court last week. I'm surprised I didn't hear anything last week, but my lawyer did send an email saying, hey, what's going on? So we'll find out this week. I have a feeling this week we're going to know something more on that. Not that I'm putting people off, because as you know, last week I talked about the new business I was starting, said I would announce it as soon as I could, which I did. And I only kept it a secret because I didn't want competition in on it. So I'm truthful as far as that goes. So as soon as I hear something on Johnson, believe me, you guys will be the first ones to know. Because I will be doing a TikTok on that. Live chicken, I know. Makes money's a character. You have such a sense of humor. Oh, great question. I was thinking about that this morning. Do I plan on slowing down with buying and paying loans off? So here's what's happening with that. I do pay the loans off. So what I do is as I buy, I put the money back into the real estate business. I really don't take money out. I put it back in, whether it's to buy more or pay down some. And that's what I've been doing. The perfect scenario is when I was doing more flip houses when they were out there, because there isn't that many out there right now. Those were the ones I was using to pay off my mortgages for my multis, right? So if I sold a flip house and made $50,000, I could put that on a mortgage. If I have a $300,000 mortgage for every 6 flip houses I sell, there you go. That's all paid off. That was a perfect plan until COVID started, right? Sounds so easy till COVID started. But no, I'm still doing that. So when I, the money that comes in, I do use it to pay down loans and also to buy more property. So it's both. But yeah, I plan on over the next 3 years, 4 years, my goal is to pay off as much as I can possible. So that way when I do slow down, I will have some properties paid off or most of them paid off. I mean, I have some paid off now, but some of the bigger ones, obviously I don't, the ones I have the $2 million loan on, that one's not paid off, obviously. But yeah, the goal would be to pay them down and pay them off. Sometimes you don't want to. Great question. Oh, I'm going to answer that question. Hey, Pilot Richard, how you doing? Pilot Richard's on. Difference between being a landlord and a slumlord. Well, in my opinion, a landlord is somebody who takes care of the properties. The tenants call or send in an issue they're having, and the landlord takes care of that repair. The landlord also is somebody who's by the book and follows the rules with collecting rent on time, making sure the tenants pay on time. That's a landlord, okay? A slumlord to me is somebody who does not maintain the property, but also is a loose landlord who does not collect rent on time, is not adamant about charging late fees, and does not run their place by a book. I think they're a slumlord. The reason being is, I don't maintain my property, so I'll let the tenant be late with their rent. That's a bad way of looking at it. Okay, a real bad way of looking at it. I just bought this 6-unit last week. Here we are, with the 22nd, 23rd of the month. Guess what? Out of 6 apartments, only 2 have paid their rent this month. So you answer the question, is that a good landlord or a bad landlord? Can't blame the tenants, because the landlord is the one who has to enforce the rules, be strict with the rules, make sure people follow the rules. But to me, a slumlord is somebody who does not maintain the property, does not repair things, and is not by the book with collecting rent and being strict with the tenants, make sure they're not smoking in the apartments, make sure they're keeping the area clean, they don't have extra people over, they're not making a mess in the basement. So a slumlord is not just somebody that doesn't maintain the property physically, it's also somebody who doesn't maintain the property by controlling the tenants that are there, getting the right tenants, make sure the tenants are good tenants, that they're good neighbors to each other. That's a slumlord. Okay, that's the difference between a slumlord and a landlord. Okay, a landlord is somebody who takes care of the property, takes care of the tenants, and cares about who's in his property. So I hope I answered that correctly, but that's my position on it. Have you ever purchased titles at auction? Well, I don't know about what do you mean by titles. I mean, I purchased property at auction that you get the title to the property. I don't know if that's what you mean, but if that's the case, yes, I've done that hundreds of times. That's, pretty much what I was doing for flip houses. But yeah, so so I guess you like that answer. But yeah, that's the way I look at it. A landlord is somebody who takes care of everything, not just the property, but maintains the tenants, the quality tenants. That's a landlord. Slumlord doesn't care who they rent to, and that's a problem. And believe me, I get a lot of those properties, and we have to turn them around. New York Pete, that's a good question. Originally it was 200, then it was 300, and of course now it's 400. Realistically, if I get to 500, I'm done, okay? And at that point, I'll start selling off some of the smaller units, maybe buying bigger units, but still maintain that 500. What will happen at that point is my maintenance cost should go down if I'm maintaining bigger apartment buildings rather than individual smaller ones. So that is my goal. 500, I'll probably stop, but I will increase my efficiency in maintaining the properties, and then maybe at that time, because we're so efficient, we can maintain other people's properties. But that's really what I'm looking at. You're absolutely right. They're not making new land. So if you can buy land, you can buy real estate, you're in a good job. To find a good tenant versus a bad tenant. All right. So a good tenant is a tenant who is a good neighbor to the other people that live in the building. That's number one. That's first and foremost. A good tenant is also somebody who pays their rent on time, right? That's a good tenant. A good tenant is also somebody that is respectful to my staff. If they call and they need a repair done, okay, let them know. We'll get to it. That's a good tenant. And that's it for a good tenant. The bad tenants are the ones who are not respectful to their neighbors. They have loud parties. They fight. The police have to come here. Terrible tenant. They don't pay their rent on time. We have to chase them for their rent. That's a bad tenant. One that calls our office and treats our staff badly, it's a bad tenant. So that's a pretty easy question to answer. A good tenant is somebody we have a mutual respect for each other. They call us up, we make their repair, whatever it may be. Bad tenant is somebody that doesn't have respect for themselves, for their neighbors, and eventually they're going to go. And for the most part, we have good tenants. Why? Because we're picky. Once in a while, I inherit a bad tenant in a building. I'll buy a building, there's a bad tenant in the building, I inherit them, well, I got to get rid of them. But that's really the difference between a good tenant and a bad tenant. A good tenant to me is one that lives in their house, enjoys their apartment, minds their business. We don't hear from them. They don't hear from us. That means everything's copacetic unless it's a repair. That's a good tenant. Oh, delinquent. Yeah. So good question. Channel. So I've gone to a couple of tax sales. So in Rhode Island, they call them tax sales, right? Because delinquents tax the tax sales. So I've gone to a few of the tax sales, and I personally have not purchased any of them. I see how it works. That's not really my cup of tea. Now, there are some people around here that get very wealthy doing it. In fact, there's one particular lawyer who goes to all the tax sales, and that's all he does is buy up the tax sales. And what happens with that is when they buy up the titles of the tax sale, two things happen. If the person that owns the house redeems it, well, he makes his money back plus 10%. So it's a great return on his investment. He gets 10% return on him buying up the tax sale. So it's a great return on investment. The other thing is if it goes over a year without them redeeming it, he can foreclose on them and he can end up owning that piece of property for whatever he bought it at the tax sale for. So that is, it's a revenue stream. It's a way of making money. What I find is the people that buy things at tax sale aren't normally the people that buy things at foreclosure sales that I do. I guess what you do is you kind of pick your method of making money. But there are a few people around that's all they do is go to the tax sale. So yes, I've never done it, but it is a profitable way of doing things because you're guaranteed an income, return on your investment. Allow renters to repair cars in the parking lot? Absolutely not. In fact, my inspectors, my property inspectors, when they go around to the properties, if there are cars in the parking lot that A, don't belong there, and B, being repaired, automatically make a phone call and have it towed. Absolutely not. That's a bad neighbor. That's a bad tenant. Okay, that answers the bad tenant question. I have tenants that think they're going to repair cars in the parking lot and repair cars or park extra cars there, cars without engines. Nope. We are so strict about that. At least once a week, we have a car towed out of one of my parking lots. Not going to do it. We have a great relationship with Pat's Towing. Pat just goes and tows the car, and that's it, because he knows. We're strict about that. It's dirty. It's disgusting. If you're a neighbor, you don't want to come home from work and see, mechanic shop in your parking lot. It's where you live. So if somebody wants to do that, go rent a house somewhere, go buy a house, or go rent a garage somewhere. You can rent a garage for $150, $200 a month. But you know what it is? It's a cheapskate. Cheapskate tenant wants to live in the apartment and fix cars in the yard. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. So yeah, we're very strict in it. That's a great question. Or if the taxpayer was the previous owner to one that goes, he can buy it back. He can, so in that case, so at a tax sale, the previous owner is allowed to buy his house back for a tax sale. Foreclosure sale, no. But a tax sale, yes. That's the difference between a tax sale and a foreclosure sale. So if your house gets sold at foreclosure, you cannot buy it at the back at the auction. But if it goes to tax sale, then yes, you can redeem it and you buy it back. Yeah, tax sale can buy it back from tax sale. So if for whatever reason, say one of my houses was sold at tax sale, I can go right to City Hall, pay the money, and get my house back. Government pushing electric cars, would they push landlords to install charging stations? That's a good question. I don't know if they would. There might be grants because charging stations obviously low emissions. They might consider an energy efficiency thing, so there might be grants. That's a good question. I think that's long down the line, 10, 15 years before we have to worry about that. It's a good question, but I don't see it, Yeah, no, I don't think, you guys both asked the same question. I don't think landlords would be required to have charging stations because there are so many charging stations now popping up everywhere where you can get your car charged. I don't see where they would require a landlord to do it. Now, a landlord may install a charging station as a courtesy for their tenants, maybe charge for it, like a coin-operated washer and dryer, charge for the charging station. I could see that happening, where a landlord installs it as a courtesy and charges something, just to pay for the cost of it. I definitely could see that. Yeah, I know, Jinx, you both asked the same question. That was funny. Anyway, so let me see if there's any more questions on here. So what's going on this week? What's coming up this week that I can talk about that's going to be going on? Well, I'm going to be picking up all the stuff I bought at the auction the other day at the Rhode Island rental auction. I'll be picking up my stuff. 2-family in Washington Park. Now, that's a good question. Washington Park might be considered a little bit of a distressed area. That's Providence or is it Cranston side? Washington Park. Would that be Providence or Cranston? Just curious. Oh, Providence. So yes, then because it's Providence, there may be some sort of a grant, especially if it's a historic area. Washington Park's historic, so there might be some historic grants that you can get. You have to go to City Hall and ask. Providence City Hall. Regarding the ADA, have I had any issues with the ADA? No. When we do build a commercial space, you have to put an ADA in a bathroom. American with Disabilities Act is what we're talking about here. You have to have an ADA bathroom in the commercial space. But no, I've never had any issues with the ADA, which is a good thing. But of course, whatever they ask for, we're going to give them anyway because you have to follow the American with Disabilities Act, right? So when I built the new ice cream shop in East Greenwich, that had to have an ADA bathroom and it has to meet current codes, so stuff like that. And of course, the building is wheelchair accessible, so we meet all the codes there. So I've never had a problem with the ADA. No, I can't say I have, which is a good thing. Let's see, Providence. So I'm thinking, Providence might have some historic grants. Just have to go and ask, When I owned some property in East Greenwich, they had some historic grants, and I was able to get some grants from East Greenwich to help pay for some stuff. So that's a good, Bobby, Rhode Island. So I would say maybe Bank RI or Pawtucket Credit Union would be one to go to for a HELOC to purchase a multifamily. I would say they are aggressive banks. Greenwood Credit Union in Warwick might be another one. They're aggressive and they will loan to investors, if you want to buy a multifamily. But yeah, that's exactly right though. If you take the home equity loan out, that will give you your deposit or more to get a multifamily. That's a great idea, Bobby. It's a real good idea. That's a way to do it too. So Bobby, Rhode Island is the one, by the way, who was driving by one of my properties a few weeks ago that we're not working on. It's a vacant property. He saw the doors open and went and shut them for me and stopped at my office and told me. I thought that was very nice of him. I had never met him before. That was the first time we met. Craziest thing a renter abandoned. I don't know. We've had renters. Well, to me, I don't know if you call it crazy, but it aggravates me when renters leave and they leave all their children's toys there or children's books or something. When they leave little children, and they're like, too bad, we'll just get you new ones. That, I don't know if that's crazy or just disappointing. But I've had people leave, pianos, which what do you do with that? Pool tables, So, but nothing really crazy I can't think of. Nothing really crazy. Well, yeah, I guess I remember we had one apartment where we went into it, and there was a single girl living there, and she left all her toys. Okay, she was a 23-year-old, and she moved out and left all her toys there. You know what toys I'm talking about? That was kind of crazy. We were a little surprised at that. No, well, I will tell you this. So we bought a flip house about 2 years ago. And so I bought the flip house, and we're waiting for the tenant to move out. So I would drive by the house every day to see if the tenant moved out. So sure enough, we drove by. It was like a Friday. And boy, it looked like the place was empty. So I stopped in. I was with a couple of the guys that work for me. And we walk into the house, and right in the place is completely empty. In the living room, they left a cage with 2 gerbils in it. Not gerbils, guinea pigs. 2 guinea pigs in it. How disappointing it was to see that those assholes did that. They just left them. What if we didn't stop in for a few days, right? What if I thought they were still there, right? So that was disgusting that they did that. But you know what? Donnie, who's my painter's memory for 20 years, he got it for his grandchildren. He took them for his grandchildren. So they went to a good home. But was that disgusting or what? Now, in the same home, they left a fish tank with some fish. That fish tank is here. I took the fish tank. My kids take care of the fish tank. So, $6.60 for a little bag of sugar. Well, you went to 7-Eleven, you got to take a loan out to go to 7-Eleven. So, hey, Mr. Icken, Mr. Ticken, Mr. Ticken. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, no, we've never had dogs left. We had those two. We had those 2 guinea pigs that time that were left. Which again, we don't know how long they were there, but they went to a good home. So that's pretty much it with that, look, people disappoint me. Don't surprise me, but disappoint me, and they just left the 2 animals there and didn't care, so anyway, so I'm going to get going. What time is it? It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to get going. Hey, I want to call my parents to see how they're both doing, because now that my father has COVID, I got to check on both of them now. And the stray cats are still there, but they're away from the building now. We moved everything away from the building. We were able to get them far away from the building, so they're not near my building anymore, which is a good thing. Oh, yeah. I believe that. Yeah, they move out, they turn the heat off, the pipes burst. So here's what happens in that case, right? Yeah, 7-Eleven owned by the Japanese. People always say, aren't you worried about people destroying your property? Look, they can only F me once, right? They can only move out once. They can only destroy things once. I go in there, I fix up, I move on. I still own the property. I got new tenants paying rent. Those people still loser bums. So that's what they don't think in their mind. When they're moving out, breaking your stuff, right? They're not thinking, I got him, he's going to lose this property. He's going to be a pauper. They're not even thinking that way. They're thinking, I got him. They didn't get me. I got you. You're out of my building. Thank God. You're gone. You're still a loser. You're still a bum. You still have nothing. So that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it like, oh, they got me. So it's all the mentality of how you look at it. You do have people like the one that painted all over the walls in Pawtucket. You got me. Oh, guess what? The apartment's rented. It's rented to better people, paying more rent. Nice people, and you know what? And you're all over the internet, and people know they're a scumbag. So, that's the thing that kills me when they do damage. They're not hurting me; they're hurting themselves. And that's how I look at it. Yeah, thank you, Kanzir. I appreciate that. Yeah, the mansion is really cool. So I was surprised. Like I said, I bought that when I went in. I saw that that door. That staircase in there, that was really cool, and all the pocket doors are still there. So I got a dumpster on Bayview Avenue for new construction. Yeah, I'll tell you, the dumpsters are really out there right now. That business is really taking off. I'm very, very pleased with that business. For all the complaining that I did about it, right? Now, it just started making money. Of course, then the price of diesel tripled or doubled. So it's not quite making what it was making, but at least it's profitable. At least it's off my plate. It's profitable. And I'm happy about that. And we have a lot of dumpsters out there right now, which I'm happy about. So here's what's strange about that, Thomas. My mom went to the ER this morning. My father brought her to the ER this morning, dropped her off at the ER. The ER will not keep you with COVID unless you cannot breathe. My mother could breathe. So even though she has all the symptoms of cold, the sore throat, the no taste and all that stuff, they literally did some tests on her and said, okay, you can go home, you can breathe. I guess they're doing it to not have these cases in the hospitals. But yeah, if she gets bad, they said, look, if she gets bad and can't breathe, come back. But I thought that was a little surprising, to be honest with you, Yeah, you can only steal so much of an apartment. If they take the toilet, they take the copper, whatever, it's stuff. We can re-put the stuff back in there, and they're gone. That's why when I buy a flip house, people are like, oh, you're worried they're going to destroy the house inside? Whatever, I'm renovating it anyway. I'm going to go in there and renovate it anyway. I'm going to put new bathroom and a new kitchen. So if they stole some pipes, right, we just run new PEX pipes. What do they do? A day's labor? So that's why it's funny, in a way, how people think they're getting the new people. Oh, I'm going to get them. And it's not the case. Not the case at all. But that's why I don't let that get to me anymore. If they destroy an apartment, I just go in there, I make a video, take it to a TikTok, whatever it may be. But I believe you've seen a $100,000 mansion. Now, of course, we have insurance for that. We have insurance for when there's a difference between vandalism, okay, and theft. So we have insurance for that. And we've had to file some insurance claims here and there. But for the most part, we don't have a problem, because when we buy a house in auction, it's occupied. We always introduce ourselves to the people. They see that we're not going to kick them out. We're nice to them. So we have a nice, smooth transition for them to move. We've never had anybody destroy a house that we've met that have occupied a house, which is good news. We've never had that problem, which is good. We've had tenants paint the walls, as I did on TikTok before. I showed we have tenants, break things, break light fixtures, stuff. But again, it can all be replaced. It's a couple of days labor and work. So I don't know what they think they're getting away with. They're not. And the only thing they've done is made me thankful that I got them out. So anyway. All right, so I'm going to get going. Oh, yeah. Trust me, Bobby, it's going to look incredible. In fact, that's what I'll do this week. I'm going to get the drawings of the new nursing home. I can share those on TikTok. That's exactly what I will do. Yeah, I'm going to go say to my parents, but that's what I'm doing. This week on TikTok, I'll put the pictures of the new drawings that the architect did for the 40 unit, but also for the nursing home conversion. I think you guys will find that very interesting. So that's what we'll do this week. So anyway, I'm going to get going now, but I appreciate all your questions. Don't forget now, I do put this video up on my YouTube channel, Jeff Never Had Job Security, so you can watch it there. And I never ask for likes, and I never ask for follows, but if you'd like to, please do. And at the same time, encourage your friends to like and follow. That way I'm not asking you. You can ask your friends for me, and that'll be great. But this was a good one tonight. I appreciate it. Sorry I was 10 minutes late with the ice cream shop.